Well, good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, February 17th, and I'm called this Lacey regular city council meeting to order. I want to know that Councilmember Greenstein's with us remotely. He's sort of a little under the weather, so he'll mostly be off camera, but the rest of the council members are here in council chamber. And if you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I also want to acknowledge that we, the city of Lacey, are on the ancestral lands of the tribal people, the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian tribe and the Squax Indian tribe. Can I get a motion to approve this evening's agenda and consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda as published.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion unanimously carries. So next up on our approved agenda this evening is our Lacey Youth Council report. Lacey Youth Council, come on up.
Good evening, Council. I'm Dior Trin, and I'm representing River High School. Last week, we had our Week of Love, and we just wanted to bring in more school spirit and unite the student body. We also had our Hearts for Hygiene drive that we also collaborated and had a friendly competition with our other high schoolers. Unfortunately, we did come in third place, but we did still donate some hygiene products, so that was just the ultimate goal overall. Our boys and girls basketball teams are currently in the playoffs in hopes in making it to state, so wishing them well. And then we also are planning our Sadie's dance, and our theme is Sadie Hawkins, inspired by the infamous show Stranger Things. So that is what is new with our school. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle Ewig, and I'll be giving the report for North Thurston. We've also recently finished our hygiene drive, and we placed first in the friendly competition, raising over 300 items that we'll donate to the Family Youth and Resource Center. We've had our sports team compete at state or are competing at state currently, and we're very excited to watch them continue to represent our school. We're also planning our spring and multicultural assemblies, and our drama club has produced a play about Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Great. Go Rams.
Good evening, Council. My name is Luca, and I'm representing the homeschool community. It's been very busy, and I'm looking forward to spring break when that arrives. Spring sports are starting up. For me, it starts tomorrow, and the first events are already coming up for that, so that's exciting for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Aryan, and I'm representing Timberline High School. Last week, we had our Hearts for Hygiene drive. We got second place from the 3 schools. It wasn't third, so we're better. But we also had our Week of Love, where we had a bunch of different events where we try to connect our school together, increase student involvement, and just get everybody connected. It went really well. And then last Friday, we also had our school hosted our powerlifting competition, and everybody performed really well. It was well received, so that was good too. And we had blood drive signups last week, and we're going to have our blood drive this week on Thursday and Friday.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, I'm Isabella Valero, and I will be giving our Youth Council update. In our last meeting, we learned about different components of the city budget and participated in an activity where we had to prioritize what departments received what portion of our budget, which was really difficult. And as of now, we are preparing our presentation for our joint meeting with the Commission on Equity. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Michaela Lassane, and I will be doing the update for the Lacey Summit Subcommittee. We haven't met yet, but we are excited to meet next week. So, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Youth Council. Keep up the good work. And I know it's hard to make those budget decisions. Trust us. We know that too. So next up on our agenda is we are going to do a grant award for Together, but they were not able to make it this evening. So we're going to reschedule that. And so we'll go on to our next agenda item, which is our neighborhood grant program overview. Jenny.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to share about our Lacey Neighborhood Grant Program and what took place last year and what's coming up this year. And I know we have a couple new council members who might not be quite as familiar with this program, so I'm happy to give a brief overview as well. So this program was reinstated. Oh, do we have, we'll have, there we go. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Oh, I do. Thank you. Let's see, maybe it needs to be turned on. I'm not sure.
It's manual override.
Uh-oh, I broke it. That's okay. We'll just go through without the slides. So the program intention for the Lacey Neighborhood Grant Program is to foster community pride, expand community member involvement, and beautify the city. So back in 2017, the council reinstated this program. There we go. And they just wanted to provide opportunities to bring neighborhoods and neighbors together and invest in their community. So for this program, grant eligibility, you've got to be located inside the Lacey city limits. So our UGA does not qualify for this program. The projects need to have a lasting or a direct benefit to the neighborhood. And then the projects need to be nonprofit in nature. I'm not sure if I'm controlling it or not. We'll just go on. So some of the grant guidelines. This is a reimbursement matching grant program. So 50% of the total project cost can be reimbursed up to $2,500. It does require a dollar-for-dollar match from the neighborhood. Volunteer hours and in-kind donations may be eligible to meet this requirement as well. So they need to provide the documentation, complete the project, provide documentation. I review all that, make sure everything matches up, and then we provide the reimbursement grant following that. Projects must meet city codes, ordinances, and non-discrimination policies. I do share these applications with a small committee throughout the cities in different departments, just to get their perspectives. They always provide really great feedback, so I appreciate having their expertise in their fields to make sure that we're meeting all of those requirements. And then it is open to formally recognized HOAs, and then in 2023, council requested that we open it up to informal neighborhoods as well. And we've had a couple informal neighborhoods that have participated in the past as well. Yeah. There are 5 grant categories for this. So people can submit applications for neighborhood beautification, safe neighborhoods, and community emergency response team organization, so CERT, environmental sustainability and resiliency, board education and organizational development, and then compassion. So I encourage groups to be creative within these categories when thinking about what they can do to improve their neighborhoods. So if we can go to the next slide, some examples of completed projects for 2025, so this last year. This is just a small snapshot, but we've had a free little library installation. We've removed hazard trees and trimmed some hazard trees, neighborhood park improvements, stormwater facility restorations. Again, this is just a small snapshot, but we had some really good work that was done in the community. If we can go to the next slide, the next 3 have some examples here. So this was done in the Point a couple years ago, actually, of installing some community gardens. The next one was done, this one was just last year at the cottages. They have some parking areas in their neighborhood, and we were able to help with the cost of replacing some curbing to make that more safe and just look better as well. And then Meadow Lake HOA, they were able to replace their park sign, and this was actually a great partnership with our Parks and Recreation Department. The Arbors Park is technically owned by the city of Lacey, but we've had a long-term contract with the HOA that they maintain it and all of that. So, but they did work with us to make sure that the signage that they replaced it with, kind of was in line with the city's sign standards and things like that. So they worked with Jen and her team, and they did a great job of coming to a nice improvement for that. So for 2025, if we can show the next slide. So the total approved and completed grant projects was 23 this last year. The funding request that came through was $42,240. We had $60,000 available, and we ended up issuing $41,978. So just shy of what was requested, and that really is when people put in their request, they're not sure of the exact amount of what that project will cost. So those are estimates. And then this is the dollars that actually were spent that we were able to reimburse. So we have a remaining balance of $18,000, a little over $18,000 that you'll probably see in a carryover, in a future meeting, probably, carryover request. And then, so for this year, we have applications currently open for the Neighborhood Grant Program. They'll be open through March 31st. And then we will do an application review from April 6th to the 17th. I will notify all of our applicants of their status during the week of April 20th. And then they just will need to have their projects completed by the end of the year. So are there any questions that I can answer for you?
This has obviously been a very popular program, that we've provided for a while, and I'm very in support of it. Obviously, when we first got started, we were thinking more, what would this look like? And we've seen some really good examples of some things, but we haven't really raised the contribution back to what we could provide to the community. As I think everyone knows, the cost of almost everything has gone up, including just doing some small projects could have gone up. As there's like from the requests that you've seen have come in, is the $2,500 been a limiting factor on what could have been?
For some of them, yeah. Some of the projects are considerably more than $5,000. Like if you're looking at a total project cost and 50% of that.
Yeah.
Some of them are dealing with, maintaining their stormwater facilities that haven't been touched for 15 years. And that's a pretty sizable expense. So yeah, some of them are pretty expensive. So this is just a small piece of that, but we can certainly look at maybe expanding, increasing that maximum dollar amount.
Yeah, I think what maybe the best thing to do is to, go through the program, and then if there's leftover funds, especially on some of the projects that could maybe need a little more help, that we could, maybe expand that to them, staying within our budget for the year, but making sure that, some of these bigger projects, and coming from a old neighborhood that would love to do some things as well, we talked a little bit about, and I was like, well, what can we do for $5,000 total, when some of the ideas would be a little bit more expensive than that. So that's just been a little bit of feedback I've gotten on that, but it's worth considering.
I like that idea. Making sure that all of the projects that can be awarded receive money, but then potentially increasing that if we have $18,000 left over. Could potentially.
Especially, I know in some neighborhoods they have like some fencing that needs to be done, and you can't really replace too much fencing, with that. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
If we go through this grant cycle and there are additional funds that have been utilized based on the grant criteria, we'll bring the policy and criteria back to council for review.
Okay.
if that's, the council would like to review and have that opportunity to address that policy, because it really is set up with our policy and criteria, and then we would need to make some changes there before we could.
Sure.
So in summary, we'll bring that situation back to the council if it presents itself.
Well, so yeah, if you get through that and it's going to be clear that we're going to be under the budget, let's bring that back to us so we can maybe make an amendment to that, and so we'll know before the end of the year about that.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
It does.
Okay,
That'd be great.
thank you.
Thank you.
So next up, we're going to go on to proclamations, and we have 2 proclamations today. The first proclamation is Cancer Prevention Month.
All right. City of Lacey official proclamation. Whereas cancer is a leading cause of death in the United States and the state of Washington, affecting individuals, families, and communities. And whereas, according to the Washington State Department of Health, approximately 42,000 residents are diagnosed with cancer each year, and more than 12,000 lives are lost annually to this disease. And
whereas prevention plays a critical role in reducing cancer incidence, and studies show that up to 50% of cancers can be prevented through healthy lifestyle choices, including a nutritious diet, regular physical activity, avoidance of tobacco, and limited alcohol consumption. And
whereas regular screenings and early detection significantly improve cancer survival rates, yet many individuals face barriers to accessing essential health services, highlighting the need for increased awareness and accessibility. And
whereas the City of Lacey supports community initiatives that promote cancer prevention, early detection, and access to quality treatment, as well as organizations working to advance cancer research and patient care. And
whereas National Cancer Prevention Month serves as an opportunity to educate the public, encourage healthy behaviors, and advocate for policies that support cancer prevention and equitable health care access for all. And
Now, therefore, I, Andy Ryder, Mayor of the City of Lacey, on behalf of the Lacey City Council, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Cancer Prevention Month in the City of Lacey. And I encourage community members to take proactive steps to prevent cancer, support those affected, and promote a healthier future for our community. Signed by myself, Mayor Andy Ryder, on this date. And Cole, you want to come up? I just want to, thank you specifically, for both of you for everything you do for Cancer Awareness Month in our community. I know you've been working for a long time, and of course, what we're always looking for is a cure. But one of the things that as you're very well aware of, I'm a cancer survivor myself, and it's all about early detection whenever possible. And so, if anyone's out there thinking, should I get tested? Yes, go get tested. Early catching cancer early is extremely important for your survivability. And so, I just want to thank your organization for everything you're doing on getting the word out. And this is a partnership I'm very proud of, and I just want you to keep up the great work. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. For those of you who I don't know, my name is Robert Lane, and I am the chair of the American Cancer Society South Sound Leadership Council. We talked a lot about the statistics around prevention, and I actually had them also in my speech, so it'll make it shorter. But really, the importance is that prevention isn't really about perfection. It's about the awareness and informed choices made over time. So we're striving for just a continuous improvement rather than perfection, because we know sometimes you want to eat that dessert or sometimes you want to have that extra drink. But the important part is to really just try to make a cognizant decision each and every day to make healthier choices so that we can prevent up to 44% of the estimated 620,000 deaths that can potentially happen this year. And so another way that you can get involved if you want to is Relay for Life. We host it here in Lacey, the number 5th in the nation, which is a pretty awesome statistic for us, on June 20th. So I'm going to pass it over to Nicole.
My stats
yeah,
on
your
there that I
stats.
want to read. I forgot my notes, I'm sorry. I'm Nicole Bolsey with the American Cancer Society. I'm our Senior Development Manager here in Thurston County, and we appreciate the opportunity and love that Lacey embraces the health of the community. This is a number that I wanted to share. So over the past 4 decades, cancer prevention and screening services alone have averted approximately 4.75 million deaths from breast, cervical, colorectal, lung, and prostate cancers. You can find more information about that on fightcancer.org. So really, we're the American Cancer Society. We're here to be a resource. So on this table back here, I did bring screening guidelines by age, and encourage everyone to take one before you leave today, and a form that has a QR code for the Cancer Risk 360. I also encourage everybody to take that. Online, you can look at cancer.org and find these as well. But the Cancer Risk 360 is a really quick 5-minute quiz about you personally, and it will just help you direct you to some lifestyle options that might be good for you, or tests you might screening you might want to start at an age just in case you might have a family history or some other concerning factors. You might want to start some screening early. So just a little direction, and I just encourage everybody to take that because, like they said, we can take charge of a lot of things in our life. Not everything can be perfect, but there is screening. It does save lives. There are some risk factors that we can just say no to, like the candy. Me. But thank you so much for having us tonight, and our phone number is also on all of the literature I brought, but 1-800-227-2345. If you have questions about screening or lifestyle prevention, anything concerning a cancer diagnosis, please call us. We're available 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. So our next proclamation's on the Keep Washington Working Act.
All right. City of Lacey official proclamation. Whereas the City of Lacey is a diverse and welcoming community that values the dignity, safety, and well-being of all people who live, work, learn, and contribute to civic life, and
Whereas Lacey's strength and vitality are rooted in its inclusive spirit, reflected in a commitment to equity, system fairness, and mutual respect regardless of race, ethnicity, national origin, immigration status, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, or background, and
Whereas immigrant and refugee community members are an integral part of Lacey's social, cultural, and economic fabric, contributing to local businesses, the workforce, civil life, and the overall prosperity of the community. And
Whereas fostering trust between local government, service providers, and community members is essential to public safety, public health, effective local governance, and sustaining a compassionate community. And
Whereas the Keep Washington Working Act affirms Washington State's commitment to protecting the rights and dignity of all community members by limiting the use of local resources, personnel, and facilities for federal and immigration enforcement while ensuring compliance with state and federal law. And whereas the City of Lacey supports the Keep Washington Working Act and is committed to encouraging cooperation between immigrant communities and local government to reduce the fear of accessing services, reporting crimes, and promoting public health and well-being so that all community members feel safe, fully participating in the community without fear of discrimination. And
Now therefore, I, Andy Ryder, Mayor of the City of Lacey, on behalf of the Lacey City Council, do hereby reaffirm its position as a compassionate and inclusive city, and express its support for and commitment to upholding the Keep Washington Working Act in the City of Lacey, and pledge to use every lawful tool available to protect our community members' rights and to stand in solidarity with immigrant communities against violence, intimidation, and discrimination. Signed by myself, Mayor Andy Ryder, on today's day. And Megan is here. say a few words. Thank you for
Okay.
coming here.
Thank you so
Really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Matthews. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the director for Washington State's Office of Equity. I can't tell you how much this proclamation means to people. We get phone calls, emails. When I'm out visiting with people, they're terrified. And our communities aren't good when people are terrified. Our communities, we're an ecosystem. And when people are hurting, it impacts everyone. And so I just want to just acknowledge, sometimes just saying it, putting it on paper, affirming your commitment means a lot to people who feel unseen, unheard. They feel victimized and terrorized right now. The Office of Equity exists to facilitate policy and systems change. We are in the Office of the Governor, and Governor Ferguson established Executive Order 2509 last year, in the fall of last year, for Immigration Subcabinet, which is led by the Office of Equity, so that we can do what we can at the state level and working with you all in the local government as well to protect our communities. I'm really grateful that our partnership already exists. We worked together on your first home ownership depot last year, and you're doing another one this year. That's really great because in addition to, you said cancer, that's another, health is another area where we see disparity, where we see people don't have access to health care, to quality care, to some of the services that are so meaningful to health outcomes, but so is housing. We have a lot of our neighbors who are on the streets or don't have pathways to owning homes, which is a wealth generating tool for many in our communities. And so I just want to give you kudos for that work as well and for continuing that. And I'm excited for the other collaboration we're working together on your DEIB Summit. So congratulations on that. And I thank you, and I welcome any time to collaborate and coordinate in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we appreciate all the good work that you guys are doing in the Washington State Office of Equity, and obviously it's something that is near and dear to this council's heart, my heart, on all the work that we're doing with our Commission on Equity. I think one of the first established here in the state of Washington, and so we're looking forward to that work program a little bit later, working with them in our work program. So, okay, next up we do have a public comment. And we do have one person sign up for public comment. Any of you want to come up and?
Yeah, my name is Annie Clay. I'm offering my opinions today as a private citizen. About this proclamation, Washington Keep Working Act proclamation, stating that the city of Lacey's intention is to have a safe place for immigrant community members, and stating that our law enforcement will follow the law, the Washington law, about limiting the use of resources and facilities to enforce the ICE agenda. It's all well and good, but I believe that the city council should make a stronger statement, a public statement, that the community will really hear, that we oppose the rounding up of non-criminals who are following the asylum and immigration protocol, that we are horrified that people are being killed in the streets, that we don't support the detention centers that make a profit over rounding up 70,000 men, women, and children with very little health care, inadequate food, and inadequate legal assistance. We have community members in Lacey that are afraid to go to school, afraid to go to the store, afraid to go to work. And as this proclamation states, we need all of those people. They're community members that add to the richness of our community. But I think these people need to hear from Lacey loud and clear that we support them and that we have a deep understanding of the tragedy that is here. So I urge the City Council of Lacey to make a public statement to go along with the proclamation.
Great, thank you, Annie. Is anyone else wishing to address the council? I don't think we have anyone online either, do we? Okay. Then, thank you so much. Next, we're going to go on to the mayor's report, and I have several different appointments to this evening. The first is for the Planning Commission. We've had a couple openings on our Planning Commission, so it's been nice to go through the process, and we had a lot of very qualified applicants, and a lot of people really interested in serving the city of Lacey, and it was a really difficult decision after all the applicants we went through, but we had to come up with two, and so it is my recommendation that we appoint Alan Acosta and Aaron Dumas to their first term on the Planning Commission.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I think they're both here. You want to come up and introduce? Alan's here. Do you want to come up and introduce yourself? Oh, over here. Just go over here. Over here.
Again, my name is Alan Acosta. I've been a resident here, city of Lacey, since 2006. My last duty station here was JBLM, so I retired in 2013 from the military. I've raised a family here, daughter, and I've been here ever since. I love this community. I want to see it grow. I want to see how we can invite more families into this community and continue to diversify and bring a lot of talent back here into this community. So I'm looking forward to working with the City of Lacey and the Planning Commission to get all the agendas and goals done.
Thank you so much. I don't see, is Aaron here? I guess I didn't. I thought I saw him earlier, but that's all right. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of appointing Alan and Aaron signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Then that motion unanimously carries. And then I have a couple more. Next one is the appointment of John Grossman to the Human Services Commission. That was another round of interviews I did, and again, it was a difficult decision. But I see John. I think I see. Was John here? He was here. I think she just stepped out. Anyway, it's my recommendation that we appoint John to his first term on the Human Services Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving seconded. Any discussion? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then that motion unanimously carries.
Can we give him a chance to
Yeah,
say a
if
few words when he comes back?
If he comes back, we'll let him introduce himself. John, by the way, has been serving the city of Lacey in one capacity or another, going back like 20 years. It's truly amazing. Someone who has dedicated so much of his volunteer time to this city, and it was he had just finished serving a term on our public facilities district as a member there, but he's been on. Serving in several different capacities in the past, and he just has a very unique, long-term, vision of, or perspective of where Lacey has been and where Lacey is going. And so he'll be just a wonderful contribution if he hasn't taken off. But I do have two more appointments to the library board. It's Jade, Sarah, and Pat Tavis. Are they here? Oh, there. You want to come up and introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jade Sierra, and I'm serving on the library board as a new appointee. So grateful to be on this City of Lacey board and to serve the community. I've lived here for about 6 years now, and it's a really great opportunity, and I'm excited to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Pat here? No? Okay, it's my motion that we appoint Jade and Pat to their first term on the library board. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving seconded. Any discussion? Seeing all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? That motion unanimously carries as well. So thank you all so much for being here. Now we'll go on to the city manager report. Do you have anything?
I have no report. The two reports I did have got moved to the work session when we needed to move the economic development strategy plan.
That's great. Well, then we'll go on to council and committees report. The first report I'm giving out is for the Transportation Policy Board, which met last Wednesday, and there wasn't a very heavy agenda. I guess the one thing that is very pertinent is that I was appointed to chair the Transportation Policy Board for another year, which I think will make. I'm not sure if it's my 15th year or it's been a long time being on the chair of the Transportation Policy Board, but I was elected to another term there. And then the other discussion that we had was more of a discussion about our next call for projects, which was coming up, and we're still in the early stages of that, but one of the things that what the county has historically done was set some money aside for the South County to be able for them to defederalize some dollars so the South County can use those dollars because in the smaller cities of the South County can use those dollars, not Tenino, but specifically not Yelm, but particularly Tenino, Bakota, Rainier, and possibly the tribes, because they just don't have the staff available to be able to handle a federal contract like that. So the county has defederalized some dollars, and they're looking about doing that for another cycle. And so we're just having some conversations about what that will look like. There's a possibility that they've sort of reached out to the city of Lacey and asked if we can maybe step into that role, and we're at the early discussions of that, of what that would look like. But that was that took up the majority of our time at last Wednesday's meeting. So it's in my report, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, a couple quick ones. The EDC board met on January 28th. We did welcome a couple new members. Tumwater has appointed Megan Sullivan. She's just recently elected in her first term. Prior to her, it was Mayor Sullivan that was on the board. So we welcomed her as a new member. We also received a new member from the Port of Olympia. In this case, it was Joel Hansen. Prior to him, it was Jasmine Vasavada. So Joel will be taking that position. So we welcome those two members. We did have some financial report that extended through the end of November. As you guys know, 2025 was kind of a rough year for nonprofits, as a lot of federal dollars dried up, and so balancing out 2025 was interesting, at least. And by the end of November's number, the EDC was back in the black. And we were able to meet all of our obligations. There are a few people who are still on shared work through Employment Security Department, though. So fortunately, we did not have a government shutdown at the end of January. That really helped. So the Apex will continue to operate. There are a couple programs that may get cut as we just do not have the funding for them, and are looking for some alternative ways to continue doing those programs, but under a different name. So more to come on that. Lacey Makerspace, which also falls under the EDC, has really come out of 2025 with more positive numbers than it's had in any time before. So the Lacey Makerspace has been operating in the black for almost 10 months now, which is really good because creating a membership base and getting new members is can be difficult. We are one of the only maker spaces in the region, and we do get people from all over the United States coming to the Lacey Makerspace. So with the city's contribution, thanks to the council and the EDC, the powering behind the EDC and the marketing and all the different things that we do to keep the makerspace going, and the contracts that we've gone out and gotten through, like Ajax and some of the workforce development community, has really made a difference in the viability of the makerspace. And as you guys know, there was some dollars last year that came in from the federal level that helped in the expansion, going from 5,000 feet to 10,000 feet, adding a lot of new equipment and so on and so forth. I also asked the Abbey if we could clear some of the brush so that you can make this makerspace visible from the street. And I've been pushing for some signage to go up on the side of the building so that people know, but driving down College Street, I mean, we have so many people that drive down College Street and you see a building now, but you don't know what's in it. So I feel like there's not really a whole lot of businesses that can survive without any kind of marketing that you can see as you go by. I think it's going to increase the membership, and it's going to keep it operating the way it is. And who knows? And the goal obviously is to not rely on any city dollars or anything like that for the makerspace to stand on its own. And we are definitely heading in that direction. So very proud of what we've been able to do with the makerspace. Let's see. We do have a section of our meeting called the Roundtable, and in that section of the meeting, different jurisdictions, different people get to talk about what is happening in their jurisdiction or in their industry and so on. One of the conversations was about the Lacey and the MJR developer doing the Midtown work. And there's a group that's been put together to kind of help facilitate that. I think the city manager may be part of that. And so the goal is obviously to create an identity for Lacey Midtown, something that will attract more businesses and kind of clean up the corridor and make it its own thing. I know Vanessa's been a part of that. Several people here on staff are a part of that. It's an effort that's been going on since I've been on council, and it's really starting to get some traction. So that was one of those areas where we're all so very happy to see Lacey Midtown growing, the roundabout potentially coming in. There's a couple new businesses that are being developed, MJR doing the conversion. So Lacey Midtown is one of our primary focuses at the EDC. And the Ag Park down in Tenino is always something that we spent a lot of time discussing because it was an EDC-powered venture combined with the city of Tenino. The first two buildings went up really well. They're open for business. Colvin Ranch is operating out of one. There's a couple of businesses operating out of another, and also a meeting and event space. Now, there's another section on the back where there's going to be a meat processing plant. This will be the first time we have meat processing in Western Washington. So those jobs now will not go out of state, but they will stay here, and we will be able to have meat processing for all of our ranchers in the state. Doesn't have to go to California and come back to be distributed, can just be processed here and create jobs and save money for those businesses. And that is my EDC report. Then I have my second report is for JazzCom, met on February 9th, last Monday. It is our first meeting of the year, so we needed to elect a chair and a vice chair. I will continue to be the chair of that committee, and our vice chair is Kelly Green now from the city of Olympia. We did get into some numbers and statistics. In terms of numbers and statistics, our volunteer hours are up significantly. This year, or should I say in 2025, we'll be doing contrasting 24 and 25. 2025, we had 13,747 volunteer hours at Joint Animal Services, which is more than double of the previous year. So the executive director, Sarah, has really done a good job of devising a system to onboard volunteers in a quicker way. And so those 13,747 hours represent 6.6 full-time employees at roughly $24 an hour. So JazzCom is really getting its money's worth, and the community is really coming out to support JazzCom. Let's see. Outreach events went from 22 events in 24 to 30 events in 25. There were 3,823 total exams. 434 of those were in December alone, which is a 52% increase. 1,860 procedures in 2025. The busiest month for 2025 was August. The foster program is doing really well from 2024 at 427 fosters to 614 in 2025. Intake is up 27%. Field calls are up 12%. The intake breakdown is County at 57%, Olympia at 21%, Lacey at 15%, and Tumwater at 7% of the intake for this facility. Field calls are County at 44%, Olympia at 34%, Lacey at 22%, and Tumwater at 10%. Prosecutorial referrals there were 18 of those. Let's see. The National Animal Cruelty Task Force, which is the first and original of its kind, will have their first meeting, I believe it's next month. And the HVAC unit is going to need some repair work. So you guys know that the JASCOM facility made our list of city buildings that really need some help and or to just get a new facility. One of the top ones was the Lacey City Police Department, which was built in like 1984 pre-internet. And so that was the one that we took care of first. JASCOM is looking to do a capital outlay. We are pursuing design and know what kind of square footage we need and also what kind of dollars. There is a lot of legislative push to receive some dollars to help with design. I think we got $1 million out of the 2 that we asked for. So that is really good. And so that design work will continue. There is also a bill that is going through that will potentially allow for some tax dollars, excise tax dollars to be created that will allow JASCOM to operate off of excise tax. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going to change the assessments for the cities. We'll see how that goes as we, kind of get this bill pushed through. I think it's going to be in the next session, though. I don't think it'll be worked on this session. Let's see if there's anything else. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Cox.
The Thurston Regional Planning Council met on February the 6th. Unfortunately, that meeting conflicted with the City Council's day one of our retreat. So I'm going to give you a very abbreviated roundup of what we did. We heard presentations on the Federal Transportation Demand Management legislation, the Human Services Transportation Plan, the Regional Safety Action Plan, and Regional Planning Council meeting norms and expectations. We also elected officers for 2026. The new chair is Eileen Swarthout from Tumwater City Council. I will continue in the role of vice chair, and secretary is Port Commissioner Jasmine Vasabada. We had an agenda-setting meeting just this afternoon for the March 6th Regional Planning Council meeting, and I'm really excited for that one because planning representatives from the cities, including Lacey and the county, are going to give presentations on their recently completed comprehensive plans. And what's exciting to me about this is it's an opportunity for the jurisdictions to really communicate with one another and look at where our plans align and identifying gaps in the regional planning framework. So it should be a good meeting. I'm looking forward to that. Intercity Transit Authority met on February 4th. Very routine meeting. We're purchasing some new AV enhancements for the boardroom. We authorized the general manager to purchase replacement vans to support the Village Van program. We elected officers. I will continue in the role of chair. We elected Sue Pierce, who is a community representative, as vice chair. And she will continue also in that role. We completed committee assignments that are pretty routine. We got to meet the latest class of people who are training to be bus operators. And that's always a really fun thing because the fellow who heads up that program always has human stories to share about each of the trainees there. And it's a great way of getting to know them and them getting to know the agency. I think just one other note, our general manager, Emily Bergkamp, took part in a meeting of local elected officials with Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, who was wanting to gather local input on federal infrastructure and transportation policy, particularly with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So I commend her because she wanted to hear directly from us what it is that we need, and she'll fight for it for us in DC. And finally, LOT, which is the Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, Thurston County Clean Water Alliance, met on February 12th. We had a legislative update from lobbyists, Kelsey Hulse of Propolis Communications and Bill Clark, who is an attorney at law who is partnering with Kelsey on that. We set the year's meeting calendar, including probably it's going to be a half-day retreat on budget setting. LOT does their budget on a 2-year cycle, so it's kind of like the legislature. You get a kind of an easier year between and then a rough year. So rough year coming up. We elected board officers. County Commissioner Ty Mincer was reelected chair, and I was elected the new vice chair. I will also continue to represent LOT on the Thurston Regional Planning Council. And then we heard a presentation on the 2026 year ahead from Executive Director Matt Kennelly that largely consists of working on the 2-year budget and construction projects. The February meeting, just so you know, was the first meeting of the year for our board because we generally take January off. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Dunning.
Yes, the Visitors Bureau met today at 3:30. Mainly went over financials. The only thing really of note is they've finalized the process and qualifications for hiring their next CEO, and they're looking at going out for that in April. So I'll give you guys an update as soon as I get it if we do that.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Turner.
Yes, as Councilmember Cox mentioned, the TRPC meeting took place during our retreat, and so I was not able to go, but I'm looking forward to joining them next time. The Nisqually River Council is meeting this Friday, and I'm looking forward to joining them as well for the first time. And then the Law and Justice Group council will meet next month, and so I'm looking forward to meeting with them as well. Councilmember CU and I were very happy to go to the Chinese New Year Festival, and we agreed in advance that Councilmember CU would represent the city, and he did a great job.
Thank you for
Oh,
that.
he'll say more.
Oh, I will?
Yeah.
Yes, he will.
Well, Councilmember, so you're up next.
So, it was my pleasure to be able to speak to the Olympia Area Chinese Association at their Lunar New Year celebration, and it was a wonderful time. Delicious food, lots of presentations like dances and songs sung by members of their organization for. It was just so fun. The kids had a blast. There were so many kids there, and I was just really honored to be able to represent our city there. I got to talk about our cultural grant program as well as our cultural day coming up here on March 7th, and it was really great. In terms of the committees, on February 5th, the Solid Waste Advisory Council met. Most of it was just Legislative updates, nothing really of note at this point until we know what's going to come out of what bills get passed. And they pushed back doing board elections until the next month because several voting members, myself included, had not been actually appointed by the BOCC or the Board of County Commissioners. And so I'll have that report next month. And then the Olympia Region Clean Air Agency, or ORCA, met on the 11th. We had a lovely presentation from Dr. Meredith McCormick at Johns Hopkins University about how air pollutants affect your long-term health, particularly about childhood development. And so we talked a little bit about how air quality really affects us. We heard earlier about cancer awareness, and how all of these things kind of coincide. And so we talked a little bit about how we have a new air monitoring system here in Lacey at the Mountain View Elementary School, and I believe in April they'll be holding their meeting at Mountain View Elementary because it's spring break, and so that way they can kind of show off the new unit and talk more about that. They also highlighted that they're still doing their wood stove recycling and replacement program, where if you have a wood stove or insert, you can actually get reimbursed part of the cost for upgrading to something that's not wood burning, so they can help kind of clean up the air in the region. You can visit their website to get more information about that. And then the Thirst and Climate Mitigation Collaborative will be meeting on Monday, the 23rd.
Great, thank you, and thank you too for attending the Chinese Lunar New Year. I participated last year and I just couldn't fit into my schedule this year, so I really appreciate you guys going and representing Lacey. We are at the end of our agenda, but we're going to be going to a work session. So it's 6:57 right now. Let's meet back at 7:10. We'll in the back to go over our couple of items that we've been trying to get to. We've had to push off till today, but until then, you keep class, Lacey.
Will it be the same link?
Yes, keep it the same link. Thanks, Lenny. Keep the same link, and I'm going to adjourn to a work session.
symbolism behind like your.
I haven't done this. Oh, what is
When I think of and I was like,
They
prepare a statement
follow
like
for
this.
you.
I was like, let's talk about like celebrating us.
They have the tracker.
Bring that celebration to listen to, like, we have this. And so like, yeah, but I was just like.
Okay.
Explain that back to them.
I'm gonna call this work session to order, and we have 3 items on our work session agenda. Our first being our 2026 Commission on Equity Work Plan. Negotiating the commission.
Great. Well, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I'm joined here by several members of our Commission on Equity. And since we have some new council members, perhaps we could do some introductions.
Please.
Great.
Great.
Would you like to start us off?
Dr. Fellow Jackson, I'm serving my 2nd term as chair of the Equity Commission. Annie Clay, been a member since the beginning.
And Cliff Brown, I'm one of the original members also of the commission. Just started my 2nd term.
And we also had Commissioner Makita Hart join us as well. Makita just had to leave a little bit earlier. But what I do want to say, and Kim Sauer as well, thank you, thank you for that. Commissioner Hart is serving as the vice chair this year. And I just want to pass on my deep appreciation to all of the commissioners on the Commission on Equity. They spend a lot of time here with the city working and providing recommendations for you all to take a look at and for city staff as well. So thank you for spending every 4th Monday of the month with us, as well as other times throughout the year as we have done several other events. What I'm planning on doing is just providing kind of a brief recap and then hoping that we could have some discussion about the 2026 work plan. So let's see if I can get PowerPoint to work this time. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties a little bit earlier. And it looks like it's gonna work perfectly. All right, so for tonight, we're just gonna take a look at this. It's for review only. The purpose is to have some discussion, and then we can bring back for council consideration for action at a future date, likely on the consent agenda. Commissioner Brown and I were asked last year to do a presentation for Leadership Thurston County. And we've kind of been using the presentation framework that we created for that, for our Commission on Equity presentations here moving forward. And the question we were asked as part of that presentation is, how are we moving forward? Now that we've moved through kind of the forming of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging plan, how are we continuing its progress? And what we took as our key takeaway is that the key to movement is the refusal to stand still. So not just having this document, but taking it and looking through it and using it on a monthly, daily basis to kind of determine some of the actions that the Commission on Equity is working. We frame this as kind of we have our stretch where we're being very intentional, so we're not just jumping into action, but we're planning. We're having our stride where we're knowing that we have limited resources, and so that we really have to take a look at making the best of what limited energy we have. We have our log it, which is really important as part of our strategic plan, is being accountable and having those updates on the work that we're doing. And then repeat, knowing that it's not just a one and done, but that we are going to be continuing to stretch, stride, log it in perpetuity. So like I mentioned, we've been using the Diversity, Inclusion, Belonging Strategic Plan as our guiding star, and it's really to help advance and support equity efforts in the greater Lacey community. Thank you all for providing that document policy for us to work off of.
And this is what it looks like.
And thank you, Commissioner, for pointing that out, because all I have are the goal areas here and our goal statements and sub areas. But what you can see is we really, in mapping this out, have a comprehensive plan for a variety of areas, from workforce and work environment, community access and engagement, policy programs and services, and livability. And we've been striding quite a bit for the last couple of years. And again, Commission on Equity has been doing a phenomenal job. And so some of their 2025 accomplishments that I do want to highlight are our Regional Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Summit, which Veronica Hand played an integral role in organizing and helping, as well as some of our commissioners who served on not only committees, but also on panels at the summit. We've also started hosting some regional diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging advisory board meetings, meaning that it's not just with City of Lacey, but we are trying to get all of the advisory board members from across the jurisdictions. So City of Olympia, Thurston County, and soon to be Tumwater, as they're standing up their Commission on Equity, in a room together to talk about what are some of the things that you all are experiencing, how can we learn from that, and what might be some considerations for future projects working together. We've also, they've worked on the comprehensive plan, language access plan, they finalized the equity map, participated in the cultural celebration, met with the Lacey Youth Council, helped provide feedback on the employee survey, community survey, the poet laureate policy, the community and cultural grant policy, the Leadership Thurston presentation that I mentioned, and also being a participant in several Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebrations. And that's just a highlight. These are some select, there's been a lot more that's been going on. But before I proceed, I'd love to open it up to the commissioners to talk about some of the projects that have been worked on and some of the key takeaways.
I'll say the thing that really excites me is the fact that when you're doing good work and hard work, you can't keep it to yourself. And so having the other jurisdictions to look to us, you know, for leadership and asking questions of us and how we're doing these things and what are some of the initiatives, and how you finding success, how you working with the council and the leadership in your various jurisdictions. Those things are exciting to be able to share and to see that they're mirroring us in a number of areas is real exciting. For example, Tumwater, you know, they are now filling a commission on equity, you know, and they say, oh, we took after you guys, commission on equity. We want to establish, you know, the same type of commission, you know, with their local focus. But those things are exciting to me that it's gone beyond the City of Lacey. You know, we, you know, for the county, we're being leaders and doing some good work that they want to follow.
Well, we're at a point where, you know, we take a great deal of pride in what resulted in this 3-year strategic plan. But in our discussions as an equity council, it's like, where do we go from here? And it's implementation time. Yes. It's, so we want very much to not let this just become another document sitting on the shelf collecting dust. That it really is a roadmap and a blueprint for how the City of Lacey is actuating its concept of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Those words are losing meaning in this country. And so what does it mean now that we're looking at the accountability part of it? What evidence do we have that these action steps are being implemented? How can we continue to bring advice to the council in the policy areas, in those things? And one of the fundamental questions we've asked, and I often ask, is, so here's what we say we want to be. Here's where we say we are. What are we going to do differently to get there? And so we're getting down into the weeds a little bit more now. The first 3 years, you know, and we've all been very, very appreciative of the staff leadership under Shannon and the support that the full council has given us. And when other jurisdictions talk to us about our successes and how we got there, we say to them, make sure you have the unequivocal support of your council. Without that, you'll go nowhere. And this is one of the reasons why Tumwater has been so slow to get a council up and going. But with the new mayor, she's determined that this is going to happen for Tumwater. And so we work through these things. We try to look at, you know, how Lacey is changing and what kind of new and different considerations do we have to be discussing, because business as usual just won't work anymore. And where must those things happen? We spend a lot of times looking at demographics and data. You know, who make up the City of Lacey? What are those needs? We're excited about this upcoming equity map Where do we have inequities? That's the question we're at now. We talked about equity for 3 years. Now we're talking about inequities. Where are they? And what must we do differently to address those things? And that's the tough stuff. That's the hard work. What must we do differently? When we think in terms of personnel, staff, practices, behaviors, beliefs, those are the difficult things to change. And so to make this 3-year plan a reality at some point in Lacey's future, we're just trying to figure out where do we go from here as an equity commission. And as Cliff indicated, as we share with other jurisdictions how we got here. I addressed the Leadership Council that morning, and they came later that afternoon. And they couldn't believe we actually had a strategic plan. And you know, the whole attitude about take all that time strategic planning. It's a useless document. It goes nowhere. And so I try to emphasize the fact that it is useless if you don't put it to use, if you don't pay any attention to what it is. And so as much work as this was, it was nothing compared to the work that lies ahead. To implement, to actually implement. And 3 years from now, to look back and say, what did we accomplish? What did we do? Did we meet those performance indicators that we built into the plan? How do we know we've made a difference? What changes have been made as a result of some of the activities that we tackled and recommended and that kind of thing? So it is a lot of work. And as we're out there in the community trying to help people understand that Lacey has a viable equity commission. And it's not just another commission in name, but it's a working commission trying to live up to our task of providing advice and counsel to the city council as asked. So we're out there with our ears to the listening post, trying to hear what community people are saying, what they're sharing with us, what are their perceptions of where the needs are, what the concerns are. And a part of what we'll be doing moving forward in 26 and beyond is another round of community listening sessions. That's where we got a lot of our information. And we have communities within communities in Lacey. And they talk to each other. We talk to each other, but don't talk to one another, and certainly don't bring it up to this level. So another round of listening sessions will be a very important thing, because we did that 3 years ago. Many more new people have come to town. You know, do they feel that they belong? You know, do they feel accepted? What kinds of discriminatory or racial kinds of things are they encountering? And, you know, we have to talk about, is it a policy issue? Is it a behavior issue? Is it just a practice? What can we do about it? And so you'll be hearing a lot more from us as we're making recommendations that how this aggressive plan is to be implemented and enacted so that it's just not another shelf dust collector.
Thank you.
I wanted to tack on to our listening sessions. That's how we started. We said we didn't know what our plan should be unless we know what the people need and what they're talking about. So we want to continue that and keep the dialogue, keep doing a dialogue so that we are actually talking to each other. You know, often we don't run in the same circles or whatnot, but we need to get more cohesive with our understanding and to keep the commission elevated and approachable from the community. So that's important to us.
Well, I just want to first acknowledge, we can't let this night go by without acknowledging the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson, who passed away today, who has laid the framework for Americans to start having these conversations, and we are behind, right? If we weren't behind, this would be a lot easier. But the one thing that, obviously, the Commission on Equity is, as you know is very near and dear to my heart. It's something that I think was going to bring a strength to our community if we enact what we say we're going to enact. And to me, it all starts with communication. And we know that the way we have historically communicated with the public has not been very effective. And so I think that that's the first thing that I feel like we need to improve on. And it's meeting people where they're at and having conversations with them at a level where they're comfortable enough to have an open and honest conversation. And you can't always do that in a formal environment. You know, sometimes that takes going to a minority-owned business and having a conversation with them, saying, tell me your struggles. Like, what is it like to be a business owner in Lacey, and what obstacles have you had to overcome? Because to get even a business started is a huge obstacle. And obviously making sure that we're always connecting with this younger generation too, right? I mean, they're the ones that are should be inheriting our good work, that we're trying to make a difference. We have a roadmap. But unless someone continues to carry it on, right, we have to have our community involved in everything that we're doing, and bring them along as well with acceptance and buy-in. Because if this is a top-down, push it down, trying to push something down on our community, it's not going to work. We know it's not going to work. And unfortunately, what you always see whenever you make one step forward, there's a beat down pushback to push you back. And we just can't let that happen. You know, we have to understand where people are coming from and then keep pushing forward, right? And it's about being deliberate. And I think that is the most important aspect of what we're doing. We have to continue to be deliberate. Councilmember?
Yeah, I want to just make a comment. I am so proud of the work that the commission does. I talk about it all the time, and I'm always asking, how can we use the equity map? Because probably people get tired of me asking about that, but I think it's important that as the mayor said, we do what we say we're going to do. I am a big advocate for listening tours, and I would love to at some point, if not tonight, sit down and ask you how you structure yours. What do they look like? I mean, how do you do it? Because I'd be very curious in that.
We can talk about how we did it the first time around. What were those lessons learned, and what are we going to do differently with this next round of listening sessions? Is that something?
Yeah, I can provide a little bit of comment on that. I'm happy to hear it from some of the commissioners as well. But it has been a learning process.
Of course.
And so what we started with is not where we are at today. And I'm sure a year from now, we'll be changing that and what that looks like, to the mayor's point about trying to get into maybe less formal situations where you can have conversations with folks who might not feel comfortable in a formal situation. So what we've been currently doing, the process is trying to partner with community groups to kind of co-host our meetings, and to try to have them in locations that aren't necessarily City Hall. We've used the library as an example. We've used the Lacey Veterans Services Hub. And in those forums, what we try to do is provide some background information on who the Commission on Equity is and the work that they're doing, but then to really focus some of the conversations on small groups and table talks, and then have larger kind of discussions after there's been some smaller discussions. We take all of that information. We have, typically we'll have a commissioner who is there as a facilitator at a table and another commissioner who's a note taker or staff member. And so we're taking those notes and then we synthesize them on the staff side and bring it back to the Commission on Equity to make sure that what we have as notes, and they're not verbatim, it's, themes, right? Kind of capture the conversations that they heard And then we've added them as addendums to the strategic plan, so you can see all of the notes there from those meetings.
Very cool, very cool.
And I think it's important to highlight the trilogy she talked about, it's commission, it's staff, and then it's community partners working together to make those things, those sessions, effective. We started out, kind of the way I like, old school, let's get in the room and just talk, and be honest with me. But they grew and we developed to make them more comprehensive and probably more effective after time. But we had to just get started, but the information comes to us regardless of the format. If people are comfortable, they share. And that's what's important. And the staff's been great at documenting what is said. And then we use that as we develop our strategic plan. We use that as we review various policies that are brought before us. We put our equity lens on it, so it doesn't go to waste. And one of the things that I talked about early on was things need to go full circle. Okay, we go out, we talk and meet with the people and get this feedback. Okay, we get the feedback and it's kept in-house, it does no good.
No.
So we have to have a way of communicating it back out to the community. And so with the various sessions and presentations we've made throughout the community, and being able to talk with individuals in small groups, we're able to share that, what we're doing, with the information that they provided to us.
And I think one of the important things we did was go to the people, other than perch ourselves somewhere and expect the people to come to us. And the first one of those was with the Black community. It was at New Life Baptist Church, and Fellowship Hall was full.
That was the largest one.
And there's no way, say had it been City Hall or wherever, that they would have come. And they were just, the feedback was just really wonderful. And then as other ethnic groups convened their communities, they could decide where would people feel most comfortable and most participatory. And so that was a different approach as opposed to a governmental town hall meeting where ethnic groups, people of color, and other marginalized people just don't show up, don't participate, don't feel welcome, don't feel heard. And realizing those things, that's how we approached those gatherings. And I think we had 5 or 6 different ones, And we learned a lot from each, and won't necessarily repeat those verbatim, but what did we learn from it that we can make the next round even more successful? And Cliff pointed out working with community groups that can help get the word out, that can help market this thing. Okay, you've had something to say, show up and say it, kind of thing, from the pulpit or whatever might be the perch. And it really paid off. It really did pay off. And so.
Yeah, and early on, one of the issues we had was that there were no city council members in the first couple.
Yeah.
And then the city council members started to attend. I know our deputy mayor.
Yeah, that's always been, it's an interesting thing with our advisories groups, because like the purpose of the advisory group is for you to advise council. And so to try to get, it's always interesting where is council involvement in some of those things, because, of course, all council wants to hear what's going on, but we don't want to overstep anything either, right? We want the work to be done, and the focus to be where the focus needs to be. And then have an honest assessment come back to us. So it's always a difficult, that's one of the tougher things, because of course, council would love to be involved in a lot of things, but we have to make sure we're going through the right process too. Councilman, you have something?
I just wanted to say one. I went to one of the listening sessions early on at the Lacey Veterans Hub just to see what was going on and how it was. And I loved how it was structured. I loved where it was going, the very open-ended conversations with it. I did have a question if any of the community groups that you partnered with offered any sort of childcare or some sort of activities in which to allow parents to come in and have a moment to be able to sit down and offer that. I know that that is a huge ask. Childcare is a problem everywhere, and so I wasn't sure if that happened at any of the sessions.
It's on our mind, but
Yeah.
we haven't structured anything like that.
It's definitely some feedback that we've received
Yeah.
from some community members. The library did set up a youth station for anybody who showed up with young children to participate in some coloring and drawings. But that is certainly something we've heard is a barrier.
And it's that kind of thing that we hear.
Yeah.
And take it into consideration when planning the next round. How many other people might have been here had childcare been provided? Or had there been some snacks or some food, or, you know, all those kinds of things. Everybody's working, 2 working parents, pick up the kid from daycare, there you are. So those are capacity building kind of considerations we have to give the next time around.
Well, and that's why it's important to sometimes meet people where they're at, you know, wherever it's their place of worship or wherever it may be. And sometimes that more of an informal setting is, you know, the route we need to go. But you made a point about collecting data, and I think data is extremely important because if you don't have it, there's no way to measure it. As long as we're measuring it, and there's some policy suggestion or recognition on how to change it, right? I mean, those numbers aren't, shouldn't be there just to be, stared at and go, oh, woe is me, or whatever. It's like, what can we be doing with understanding the capacity that we have at the local level, which is we are restricted by our revenue challenges, but are there things that we can be doing to get some early wins and have Lacey be a place where everyone can be successful? Like where are the gaps? What are needed, and what are the partnerships out there? Because we're not going to be able to do it alone. We're going to have to do it, hopefully, with public and private partnerships to help people achieve success. And that's what, of course, what we're hoping, right, for is that, yes, we're a welcoming and belonging, but we're actually have a community where people, regardless of their background, have a place to be successful.
Yeah, and I think, talking about those partnerships and everything, I think in the previous slide that Shannon had up there, talked about some of those goals and what they focus on, and then is it a City of Lacey Lee, is a partnership, trying to identify and do that early work in that strategic plan, which is the great value of that work that the Commission on Equity has done to create that plan. And of course, there's been a lot of accomplishments already to implement and actualize it. And I think in 2026, there's going to be many more of these things that both the Commission on Equity, the council, and the staff can focus on. But also it is about creating those partnerships and leveraging those opportunities and meeting people in person. And I don't know if that's something that's coming up and to identify going forward.
I think that's a great segue. We got a few more slides on some of the things that we're going to be taking a look at and working on, which fit into those buckets. So I think the other thing I would just highlight is we did a first. We held a retreat for the Commission on Equity where we spent a morning together and just really focused on networking and connecting, and then did a reflection. This is all part of that stretching exercise where we talked about what were our strengths, our opportunities, our aspirations, and our results. And as you can see, we got a lot of really good feedback from the commissioners. And this is all in part of that work plan, so you can take a look at this in detail. But there was some really good conversations of like, how can we use our strengths moving forward as we start to look at future projects. So in the draft work plan, we have identified a couple of key initiatives. And that is to continue with the Poet Laureate selection process. So the policy was created, and now having that group that takes a look at it and makes a recommendation. Same with the community and cultural grant selection process. To also provide a strategic plan report. So Mayor, one of your comments was about the data and showing what we're doing. And that's one of the documents that we hope to have in front of the Commission on Equity for review, and then council at a later date, basically showing everything we've done in the last year for that accountability element of it, that log it element. There was also some discussion at the council about taking a look at just, hey, what are our utility relief programs right now, and so we're gonna do a just overlook and get some feedback on that. A community liaison program, and so this was the discussion of like, hey, how do we get into the community with trusted messengers who are already embedded and have built relationships, because they're gonna get much more honest, feedback, or people are gonna feel more comfortable in those situations, and so looking at how we may be able to facilitate a program like that.
I think that's a huge, that would be a huge win for our community to have that program up and running, for sure.
Continuing to plan for the next DEIB summit called Thurston Forward. Taking a look at our advisory board process, doing round 2 of the utility wrap program. So this is a program that we are slowly, I'm sure you've noticed a couple of them pop up that are wrapped around the community. We're gonna continue that once we get some good weather. And then go out for another round of local artist participation to do some more utility wraps here, focused on Lacey community members, events, or historic ties. Taking a look at a community connectivity tool, and then getting some information on kind of how we kind of do our leadership mentorship and internships. And then taking a look at city recognitions, and then any other, city document policies that come up throughout the year. We obviously pivot at points and times because you all are like, hey, we want the Commission on Equity to look at that. And so building some capacity and space for anything else that could pop up. And you can see we've logged all of the 2025 information here. And then we've put in kind of a similar format, all of those programs, initiatives that I just talked about in kind of a quarterly 1, 2, 3, 4, but recognizing that these are broad and sometimes these move and get spilled over just depending on time and capacity and other items that might come up from the council. So that was an overview, kind of talking about some of those projects and those connectivities. And again, the idea would be that it's review only, and so happy to hear any other discussions or comments that the council may have in consideration of the plan.
Really, the one thing that this started right before I came on council, and everything, was basically started from scratch, and you guys created what it is. And I think the easy route would have been to come in and just say, these are all the things you're doing wrong. And from the moment I talked to anyone, it was never like that. It was more of like, here's where we're at, and here's where we would like to be. And I think that's one of the reasons that buy-in has been so successful, is because it's always been about moving forward. And I think that's such a powerful tool. And that's why other people look at us. And I always talk about Lacey. I'm like, I want Lacey to be the example, and I want other cities to emulate what we do. And it's so powerful that now other cities are finally, starting to realize that. And it shows how much great work you were doing. And then on just a little side note, it may seem small, but the utility wrap. So every day when I go into work, I pass Dr. Jackson, and as I know him, the jump rope king. Every day, and I have spoken with him for 15 years now, mainly in the sauna at my gym, and I drive by it every single day, and every day it makes me smile. It's like, man, I could just be this ugly box there, but it's our community, and it's highlight our community, and I think it may be small to people, but I think it brings some little moment of enjoyment to my day, and so thank you guys for what you're doing.
So I think one of the things that I always felt was important for the success of this commission was for the commission to have a really good understanding of who we are as a community, right? And because diversity has always been a part of our makeup. It's always been part of who Lacey is. But a big part of who Lacey is, and sometimes we don't, I think, acknowledge it as much as we should, is that, we're a military community too. And they're a big segment of our population that has its own unique set of needs and challenges. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that. We acknowledge we're a military community. And so some of this effort should be, how are we communicating with our military community? How are we supporting our military community? Yes, we have the Lacey Veteran Services Hubs. That is a great place. that's not gonna solve every, everyone's needs, childcare, it's everything that the normal family may have issues with, plus they're a military family that can be its own set of unique challenges. And so it's the one thing that I've just saw sort of missing, a little bit out of this is how are we connecting with our military community? How are we welcoming them to the city of Lacey and acknowledging how important they are to not only to us but to our country, and I think it's really important that we do that and we acknowledge that, and that we have a conduit to reach out to them as well. We have the Southside Military Communities Partnership that's trying to do some of that. It'd be great to sort of figure out how to connect that. And so, especially when new military families are coming in, we can be a resource to hear their issues and hopefully help where we can as well.
Well, one of the sessions that we convened was at the hub, and it was military.
Yeah, good.
And one of the things that we heard from a couple of the Black retirees who talked about their challenges.
Sure.
And they're feeling disrespected as they move around the community. And these are officers and that kind of thing, not to mention, just enlisted people. And so that issue of belonging has not taken place for a lot of our military community, especially military of color. And so that's something we've got to think in terms of. They laid out some pretty specific things,
Okay. Well,
and so that's a
very important.
specific.
Yeah.
And then one of the other things that we added to our plan of work for 2026 from our last session with you all was the whole issue of our schools.
Yes.
Many of our students of color are not feeling as though they belong, are not feeling as though they're heard. Many parents of color are not feeling accepted in the schools when they try to advocate for their kids. And so that's a different elected body that we clearly understand. But the students bring issues to us. And that's something we've got to try and figure out in that coordination, communication, whatever, that whole segment of the community. If we don't have equitable schools, we'll never have an equitable community.
Sure.
So somehow we've got to recognize two separately elected groups of people. But the schools are leaving a lot to be desired. A lot of people don't want to come here because of what they hear about the schools. We can do all this other work, but many people, first look at the schools to decide where they want to live.
Well, then having that information and that data and those concerns so we can talk elected body to elected bodies, I think is really important. And there's, I'm never afraid of a tough conversation, right? That's, tough conversations is where, are necessary. And when you're dealing with difficult issues, you have to have tough conversations. And so, but it sounds like we need a feedback mechanism too, on, we had this meeting, it's important, but if we're gonna wait all the way till next year to discuss this again, that's too long. Not when things have moved so quick in our community. And so maybe we need to think about how we do a better of a feedback mechanism of when issues come out, we just don't put it on a back burner and wait till next year to discuss it, that we can.
Between the council
Between the
and
council
the
and, of
commission.
course,
Yeah.
council and commission, things move quick. And so, we need a better way, again, it's communication. How do we improve our communication channels? Just something to think about. I applaud all the work that you're doing, and there's so much work. It's it'd be a full-time job for everyone to try to see some of this. And so we have to keep the reality of, again, our limited resources front and center, it's understandable, but where we can make improvements, and if it's something within our power that we can do and communicate better, faster, then that's when we need to focus on.
One thing, I think, one thing that might be useful, and if people would wanna do it, is, like we talked about, with the listening sessions, it is like, we don't wanna show up and be a distraction, you know, or make it be about us or us answering questions. But if we did just assign one person to each one, just to be there to report back to the council, and then, you know, that's something that we could report back during our meeting, so at least we're on top of it. I think that could be a potentially a good thing.
Well, our deputy mayors attended them and others, and they were able to participate. They weren't a distraction. They just blended right in. It wasn't, an issue or anything. I think they felt welcome, and being what they were able to add, I think was very helpful. It didn't seem awkward at all from my viewpoint. I don't know about them participating, but we were happy to have them in the audience.
Some of our police officers have been.
Yep, right, police officers have been there as well.
Been very helpful.
Yeah, the anticipation is definitely enjoyable, and people really open up, before and after they know who you are, right? And so, one of the things that first of all, thank you guys for doing years of work, for the city. I know it's not glamorous work. It needs to be done, and you guys have stepped up and said, we're gonna do this work. I don't wanna see this thing go on a shelf somewhere and start collecting dust. That's not, that would be a slap in the face to everybody in this room and everybody in this community. So I'm really looking forward to you guys bringing some bold ideas and, things to the council saying, hey, we wanna do this. Hey, we wanna do that, right? Because if that's not happening, then what did we do? Right, and another thing that I was thinking about is, yes, we've done the listening events, and we've sat and talked about different subject matter, and I've heard people communicate, I feel like this, I don't feel like that, but I don't think we've done anything for them to come out in a social way, right? Yeah, like something like that, or just even if we took the Lacey Community Center for 2-3 hours and had food, or whatever the case may be. We haven't really done that kind of a thing, or
I've talked about this for years, the idea of our doing like a community cooks event, right?
Right, you did.
Because there's something about sharing a meal with someone. I think it's really important on a human-to-human level. And there's something special about everyone sharing and being proud of their food, and so I've talked about this for years. Again, it's a resource issue. Like, if I've been waiting to say, okay, maybe someone who in the community is gonna come up and take this idea and run with it, and no one quite has yet. But I think it's a great idea to do that. We just have to figure out what does that look like, how we do it, and who are our partners as well, because it's a difficult it's a little bit of a lift to expect the city of Lacey just to be able to do that. We need some partners, partners with it.
If I can interject here to do a little bit. The one is, we do have a great celebration every year with the cultural celebration. I encourage everybody to attend and participate. And that's one way to be able to bring a bunch of the community together, and it is very well attended. We could also look at upcoming listening sessions, maybe doing some type of council liaison, as Councilmember Dunning suggested, of having some way to report back. And then Shannon and I can look at how maybe to do some either after action reports or something too that can kind of create that feedback loop that was mentioned, a little bit more frequent as events occur. And then identifying what are other ways and mechanisms going forward that when we have more resources we can plan for, or other ways to establish those more social activities, as the deputy mayor mentioned. We can kind of look at that and plan that out. But first, we focus on 2026 and the 2026 work plan, which has a lot of key initiatives that we want to create. basically setting the foundation for this future work to continue each year to try to build upon it. And I think one of those things is, as everybody's talked about, is the community liaison or ambassador program is one way to start creating that foundational work, to be able to create some of these more other programs and opportunities to kind of create and bring the community together as a whole, and not just have just the segment, but everybody as a whole.
Yeah, I would love to see some things sponsored by or powered by this commission. You know, hearing that some of our retired vets are not feeling welcome in the community is painful, right? Hearing that there are people who maybe don't want to live here because they're afraid what might happen to their kid in a school is painful, right? And so, you guys have, you know, really got us to a good position, and it sounds like we're ready to advance some items to the front and bring those to the council so that we can approve them. I would love for you guys to be bold in what you bring. And so that we can kind of look at it and say, you know what, maybe there is a way we can do this. And so I agree with you. This needs to be implemented. And in order to implement it, there's gonna have to be some lifting and some dollars. And that's what I'm hoping to see from you guys, after this next section that you guys deliver. So, I just want you to know that you guys have, you know, you already know that you have the full support, but, I'm there all the way, you know, even if I, you know, need to make some kind of a contribution that is more than just time.
I saw them smile when you said, bring something bold, so I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Be careful what you hear.
Be careful what you ask for.
I think the officer said he's giving some money too, so
And, you know, like I said, I do think the community buy-in is important, and making sure our chamber and our business community is supportive and understands what we're doing. I think it's really important that all aspects of our community is involved in this process, and that we do have people that will step up and contribute financially if necessary to help us achieve some of these community goals. Like I said, it can't be all the city. It has to be our community all coming forward. And so that's gonna take some outreach and work, but I know that we're on the right track.
If I can just add one more thing, I just forgot to mention, but last time was talking about the schools and the challenge with two different governing bodies and all, but I think there's also been groundwork being made there with both the dual district youth advisory and this Lacey Teen Council starting to have some cross meetings and conversations. I think that's getting stronger at the board and council level too. So some of those things we experienced for quite some time and culminated in a couple of years ago. I think there's some conversations and some different style conversations that are occurring to help bridge some of those gaps right now.
Yeah, I like that, but the way I operate, I would love to be around the table, Commission on Equity with members of the North Thurston School Board, other leadership, and have one of those tough conversations that we talk about. Those meetings are formal, everybody's there structured, they have the presentations and all that stuff. We can't really get down to grassroots and have the serious discussion that we need to have. When we've tried to meet, they send a representative. You know, that's, to me, it's just not good enough.
It sounds like what we need is have a work session like this with the school board, not a meeting, but work sessions. Those are there's two different things. Okay, well, let's think that's good advice, and I agree.
Let me say one thing on this point. Last week and this week, we've had educational field trips going on through the Black History Museum at New Life Baptist Church. And if the school board members could hear some of the things the kids are saying, why aren't we taught these things in school? Why do we have to come to a community event to learn this, that, or the other? Parents asking the same questions. So the whole curricular inclusion piece that has a lot to do with the feeling of belonging. And it's been just North Thurston Public Schools has really stepped up. The superintendent has, well, I won't say ordered, but directed. And Friday, the whole administrative staff are splitting up into two groups and they are coming through. And so, the disconnect, the disconnect between what students and parents are saying, and they feel free to say it there, but they don't have another arena that they can openly express how they're feeling in schools and treatment and harassment and name calling and, So I agree. We'll put our thinking caps on and come back with some bold
That's right.
recommendations on what we can do differently.
Yeah.
Differently to get someplace here.
So I think you've heard what we hear. Maybe that before you pass it on to us, maybe just have one more meeting to take this into account, and then we'll have it come before the council.
And we're known for our long meetings, so this is a big deal for us.
Well, we just went through almost an hour, so thank you again.
Thanks you again. Thank you.
Keep up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say thank you, and I could not be prouder of this group of people. You all have done amazing things. I mean, this is hard stuff.
You know when somebody wants to copy your work, you're good.
What was that?
You know when somebody wants to copy your work?
Yeah,
you're
that's
good.
the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, it's a great compliment. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we both got the color memo, right?
The color of the night, huh?
And so did Danny.
Okay, our next item is our fourth quarter investment report.
Great, good evening, council. I think I've made about 3 separate promises to speak less than 5 minutes. We'll see if we get that done.
But I said you can take all the time you need, Troy. I said take all the time you need.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it, Troy.
But real quick, I'd like to provide just a little bit of background, especially to our newest council members in terms of kind of how we manage our portfolio. So 2 things I want to talk about real briefly is our policy and our contractual services relationship. So our policy we adopt through the council through resolution. It follows state law. But I think the most important thing about our policy is to remember the 3 objectives. In order, safety, we do not want to lose the public's money. Liquidity, we want to make sure we have the money when we need it. And lastly is yield. So it's very important that those are in that very specific order. In terms of our, how we manage our portfolio, we have a contractual service agreement with Government Portfolios Advisors. It's been a great relationship, about an 8-year relationship now. We just don't have the level of expertise necessary on staff to manage a portfolio of this size. They really keep us on track. They help us with our strategy. Of course, they make sure our policy is consistent with state law. So a pretty invaluable service for the amount of money that we spend there. So you get this report once per year. We've actually been coming to council about twice per year. The policy dictates we come at least once a year. And we do have the full investment report from the 4th quarter of last year in your packets, about 25 pages or so. Lots and lots of detail, lots of transparency in terms of what we're doing. It does provide market commentary, market outlook, of course, the performance. It has a little compliance section in terms of making sure that we're in compliance with our policies. So again, a very robust report. So in terms of performance, we did experience a slight decline in total return in 2025, but that's to be expected. We're in a slight declining interest rate environment, so no surprise there. We did meet our benchmark 3 out of 4 quarters last year, with the last 3 quarters actually each meeting our benchmarks. Our benchmark, we look at a 0 to 5 benchmark. That's how we judge our performance in terms of our earnings throughout the year. In terms of actual performance, really just want to focus on yield and duration. Those are a couple very important benchmarks for us. The total portfolio yield decreased just slightly in the 4th quarter. We're at about 3.65 for the quarter, down from about 3.75. But again, to be expected, the fourth quarter, we saw 2 Federal Reserve rate reductions. So again, we're in a declining market. In terms of duration, again, we had a slight decline, almost immeasurable, really. It's 2.058 years, down from 2.092. So just a slight decrease in duration. And what's important about duration is when we look at that 0 to 5 year range, we kind of move within that range depending on what rates are doing. We actually want to start extending that duration. In a declining environment, you want to kind of stretch that yield out into that 3, 4, 5 year time frame. So that's certainly the goal as we enter into 2026.
So this shows us almost 55 million that we have in cash and cash equivalents invested.
Some of that is, that's checking account.
Sure.
For sure, probably about 15 million or
Okay.
so. We have another 35 to 40 million in the state, local government investment pool. So it's like an overnight rate. That rate is actually slightly higher than a long-term rate at this point. But yeah, that's liquid funds. We do need to keep funds available to make payroll as an example.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I wasn't aware that we had another 213 million in investments.
Yeah, our total portfolio is 250.
See
somewhere
that?
in there.
250, 260? Yeah. Where's the other 216 investments? How did we, when would that become available for cash? How much of it's in long-term, short-term, what?
It's
I
like,
I didn't realize we had quite that much in investments.
sure, it's a pretty even split amongst the years. So, you know, our 0 to 1, our 1 to 2, and so on and so forth. We adhere to a pretty strong laddering approach. So we have investments coming due just about every month, maybe 6 weeks. So it's a pretty even split across that range. But again, we're going to try to stretch a little bit to capture a little bit more yield, to lock in those yields as well as we're, you know, seeing declining interest rates. And that is the kind of the long-term or midterm expectation as well.
But we still made quite a bit in investments over year then.
We made slightly more. Yield in itself
Yeah.
was down, but our principal went up. I think it's about 8 million or so in total earnings in 2025. Again, slightly more than 2024, but we also brought in about 18 million in cash for the bonds for the police station, which increased that principal for a period of time. And we're still carrying, well, we're not carrying bond proceeds anymore, but we're still carrying funds for the police station project. We'll be in the 10 to 12 million range.
Okay. And this was so there's about 10, 12 million range still left in for the police station. But other than that, this is all gains?
Well, there's,
I mean, because we had quite a bit going out for the police station and with,
40 million.
40 million, and so, okay, yeah. Okay, well.
For the asset class, what's the difference between the US Treasury and the US agency?
Treasury is more like a T-bill.
Yeah,
Agency would be like Fannie Mae, that type of, they're very similar in terms of yield, but, yeah, T-bill is more like, think T-bill when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I started, we were at like 202 or 205, I think it was.
Total?
Yeah. Investment asset base. And so, and then having taken out, did you say 40 for the police station? And then growing that back to our current level is, I guess all I can really say is good job.
Yeah, this has been a great return on our investment, obviously, from where we were it's been 8 years ago?
Well, we signed a contract end of 2017.
Oh, my goodness.
So we really started wholeheartedly in
Yeah.
early 2018.
Well, it's obviously, it's paid off, and we saw, interest rates at one point, be at nothing, and be able to do that and see the interest rates, then go up and everything else. It's, it's been a great, great investment, of our community's, dollars, that's for sure. And I see that, we've had some conversations about corporate and investment there and everything. Like, how's that been going overall?
We don't have too many corporate holdings. Part of the reason it just hasn't been that difference in yield it's just a slightly higher risk, but you want to make sure you get the yield for that increased risk. And we just haven't seen that in the last 2 years, really.
Well, I see we have some Apple. We do have some corporate in there. Amazon.
It's below, certainly below the maximum allowed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because what did we say the maximum could be on our corporate?
I think it's 5%.
Something like that. Those three. Yeah. So where have we seen the biggest growth in investment?
There isn't any one class. I would say we've definitely moved to treasuries and agency instruments. That's really just a condition of the market more than anything. It really wasn't a conscious effort. We really just take a look at the market as a whole. Every time an investment matures, our advisors go out and receive bids. Usually between 5 and 6 bids, and we choose amongst those in terms of how it fits in with our diversity as well as, our laddering and of course, as yield that allows. So, yeah, we performed well. I will point out to the council that probably 45% of these funds are in our utilities. And we have significant capital programs ahead of us, so don't want to take too much credit because we are going to spend down those funds as we move forward.
I guess that's the one thing that it'd be nice to see what percentage of these funds are in which of our, because these are all together, obviously, and it'd be nice to see, okay, how much of this is actually accessible through, on the general fund side of things compared to the utility sides of things. And
we typically bring that to council when we have the committee reserve discussion. We talked about a slightly different process for reserves going forward, so we do expect to come back before the council here.
Even
the
our
next month or 2 months as we talk about priorities and how we're gonna fund those, and we'll definitely come back sooner than later.
But even in our commit reserves conversations, we're mostly talking about the cash on hand, that 54 million. We haven't really dove into the other side of things here, so like I said, it'd be nice just to get a overview of where that's actually at.
And we can probably break it separate. We've had shown that in the past, but we can break it in a different format to show related to our investment holdings.
Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely break that out into, our capital funds versus our general fund versus utilities versus our internal service funds. So,
In relationship to the investment amount, so that way you can kind of see the correlation.
Yeah, that would be, I think that would paint the better picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone else have any, I know this is kind of high level stuff, but.
I see we got a lot going on in the treasury and the home loans markets, which, the treasury's been on the rise for, 3 years now? Somewhere in that ballpark. And we seem to be taking advantage of that. It looks like that's where we're getting the biggest bang for the buck at the moment.
It is.
It's 5%, it's crazy.
Yeah, we'd like to be a little more diverse, but, we're taking what the market has in front of us.
Do you know why there's, such a 6.1% in Columbia Bank specifically? It seems like a.
That's the city's bank, that's our.
That's, oh, okay, I thought we were invested in Columbia Bank.
No,
I'm like,
no. That's who we,
that's very specific for that amount of money.
no, that's our specific investments
Okay, then I feel
in
way-
the
I feel way
bank.
better
And
now.
so they give us, since it's cash on, cash that's been going through them, that give us a decent interest rate.
Just a question for you, Troy. It looks like we may have a new chair for the reserve in May, 17, 18. And if that chair obviously is going to be appointed by the executive branch, that being the case, it's my opinion that that chair is going to have to follow a playbook that is prescribed. You may have that same feeling, I don't know, but that's what I'm feeling. Can you talk about a little bit about our potential response to that?
Is that like a risk management deal or what?
Not really. Well, every governor gets a vote. So the chair is one vote, so I'll say that. Right now, the economic indicators in front of us don't show rate reductions. Jobs stronger than expected, inflation coming down. So there's nothing in indicators that says we're gonna have a decrease to rates until probably the last half of 2026. So yeah, it's really anyone's guess, but like I said, it's one vote, even though they're the chair. So we'll see what that body does as a whole, but I think it would be a shock to the markets if we saw, a dive to the rates. The markets aren't expecting that. Historically, the Federal Reserve has tried to avoid shocking the system, so we'll hope that holds true.
To the tune of quantitative easing forever.
And he's, the administration wants lower rates, but even when he was a governor before, he tended to err on the side of higher rates. So I think it'll be a crapshoot of what actually happens.
Yeah, I think the neutral rate is somewhere around 3%, and if we're at that 3.5 right now, there's not a lot of room regardless, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, what's so crazy is what the stock market has been doing recently, and it's good for people who happen to have some money in the stock market, but I think the average person's feeling that same optimism of what investors are right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, because you can only tell people you're doing well for so long when they don't actually feel it. You start questioning the sanity of that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So last up is our economic development work program. Right. It's on 1%. It's fine.
I was saving it for you.
So, they're the main show anyways.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I can show up. Here's why I don't get fined.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Vanessa.
All
Or turn
right.
it over to whoever.
Yeah, with that, I'll turn over to Sarah, since she's down at that end. As she's getting the PowerPoint pulled up.
The bottom. Slideshow.
Yeah.
Right next to the magnifier.
It looked like a robot at the bottom.
Looks like we might need to share the screen really quickly. Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Mind if I have a little bit more space here? Sorry, I apologize.
Just
work over me.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so good at
Wheel me
technology.
out of the way. Oh, okay,
Yeah, share screen for.
thank you. Apparently I don't come
Now
often
I'll
enough.
Now I'll hand it off to Sarah.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Sarah Schelling with Community and Economic Development.
And I'm here tonight with Wesley and Vanessa to present the 2026-2027 draft economic work program. Have another item as well with us, and that's the draft of our economic development strategic plan. And before I turn things over to Wesley for the big presentation, I just want to give a brief summary and background into the work program and how we arrived at the work program tonight, as well as just a bit of background into the draft economic development strategic plan, which has been about a year in the making. So about this time last year, the city hired Eco Northwest, which is a fiscal economic development firm out of Vancouver, to work with the city to develop a 5-year economic development strategic plan. And this is intended to become a framework that will guide the city in strengthening and diversifying our local economy. And we first came to council last year with Eco Northwest in May to present the background and demographic and economic data that would inform the plan and help drive those actions. Eco Northwest also provided an outline of how they intended to engage the community and work with the development community in the city to develop this plan. After that meeting in May, they also met with the Planning Commission at about the same time. Eco Northwest then began engaging with the team of business and community leaders through both one-on-one interviews as well as with an advisory group to help plan development. There were representatives from the Port of Olympia, the Thurston EDC, Peak Credit Union, MJR Development, St. Martin's University, Providence Hospital, as well as small business owners like Jason Wong, who runs our night market with Sway Night Market, Tevin Campbell, who's also a small business owner in the city of Lacey, just to name a few of the people who were involved in this effort. They then spent the summer interviewing these folks, working with staff, and then researching best practices in the economic development arena to develop our strategic plan, which we came back and presented to both the Planning Commission a little bit earlier last fall, and then council in December of 2025 as a draft. Staff in Eco Northwest, we've already done that part. In December, we had the opportunity to review the strategic plan and get council feedback through a Mentimeter, where you guys looked at our actions and helped us prioritize those. So since that time, staff in Eco Northwest have made some modifications to the plan in response to the feedback we received from council on some of the actions, particularly in regards to visioning from that council meeting, as well as we prepared our draft work program based really on the Mentimeter results and council priorities that were identified that night in December. So tonight, we're back for another look at the final draft of the strategic plan, as well as staff's proposed 2-year work program, which again are based on the council priorities as identified back in December. And tonight is just a review with a hope that we could move both the strategic plan and the work program forward to ultimately approval at a consent agenda at a future meeting. With that, unless Vanessa has anything else she wants to add, I can go ahead and turn things over to Wesley.
We'll let Wesley take it.
Yep. Hit that one. Oops.
So I think, good evening, my name is Wesley, I'm staff at the city as well. Today is the Lunar New Year, so I want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year today. So Sarah mentioned our goal for tonight, so I don't want to go into that too much, but it's written right there. So these are the items that we currently are doing in economic development, and there are about 15 different items, and I don't think that lists all of them. But I love my job is because it is different every day. I could be in the office, I get a phone call from a small business wanting to know what is the zoning regulation for that location. Or last Friday, I went with the Lacey South Sound Chamber to do a ribbon cutting event at a new business that just opened up in Hawkesbury. So it's fun, it's exciting, and there's a lot of work in that as well. And these are some of the items that we talked about that we do on a regular basis. And so, yeah, so I mean, I don't want to read that because you can, but just wanted to say that this is just some of the ongoing work that we do for the city.
And Wesley, if I can just add a little bit here, and one of the reasons we wanted to include this slide tonight and present it to you all is that the strategic plan is not the only thing we're going to do in economic development. So it's just a reminder that we do a lot of work and it's ongoing work. It's been ongoing in the past. It will continue to be ongoing in the future. And so when we talk about the strategies in the strategic plan, these are in addition to that regular work that we're already doing in economic development and that we plan to continue to do.
Yeah, and a lot of this work do fit into the economic development strategy. Whether it be the food truck depot, a night market example, is part of the goal of entrepreneurship, and so supporting small business. So I think a lot of the work that we currently do, and ongoing work that we do, weave very well into the economic strategy that Equinox West have put together on our behalf.
A quick plug, this is the economic development team you have with you.
For the new
Just put a little context to this work too.
So you guys did all that?
They do all that?
Nice.
And some.
And some, yeah.
We can't work PowerPoints, but we do
Use
all
the arrow
that.
key, yeah. The arrow key, you can use
So I
the
think
keyboard.
So Sarah mentioned these things already, so I don't wanna go too much into the detail, but the most important thing that Sarah and Vanessa want me to tell you guys that the next step, approval of a plan through a consent agenda for future council meetings. So we'd like this plan in front of you to go into a council meeting for approval.
What do you think are the biggest heaviest lifts in this economic plan? I mean, we obviously went through this and there's a lot of good information here, but like, what do you think is the heavy lifts and what we should be focusing on for the biggest bang for our dollars? Because as you know, I'm a firm believer in meeting, public dollars and private dollars to create, great public spaces that promote economic development, right? I mean, that's sort of what we can do, is we can help create spaces that attracts a certain type of economic development. And we've done that. We've seen an example of some of the work we've done in Midtown that allows for economic development to happen. But like, if with our limited budget, like what do you think we should really be focusing on?
I mean, I'll take a stab at that.
Sure.
I don't.
I know it's a heavy.
It's a heavy question, because I think there's a lot of things in here, and budget's a complicated question, but I do think you're absolutely right that private investment follows public investment. So where we can target that investment, hopefully we'll be able to see that private investment follow. And what I'll point out is on that slide back, there's a significant budget item in the roundabout investments.
Sure.
That while it's not listed in this plan, it's one of those public dollars that I believe will help advance private investment within our community.
Sure.
And so not everything that we invest in as a city is gonna be in this strategic plan that will advance economic development. Many of those dollars come through public works and public works projects and other capital improvement projects. We do have a number of items identified in here for placemaking that I do believe will add value to the community and will bring those private investment dollars to our community if we make those investments, but we'll have to have those conversations strategically with the city manager and the council and other departments and move those forwards incrementally as we have those dollars available.
And I can add to it the different types of investments, as Vanessa mentioned, some of the biggest bang for your buck is that infrastructure investment. But you gotta guess right? And so we know that with the Seventh Avenue and College intersection, that's gonna create a whole different traffic flow and energize Seventh Avenue. So we gotta be strategic, and sometimes that investment's not right away. We gotta see what that is. There's a lot of it's creating the foundation work, and smaller investments like on the recruitment front, the branding front, and making those connections and starting to see what is possible, and then what can help make the deal work, right? So then you say, what's the barriers, and then that can inform us what that infrastructure investment may need to look like, that we have funds available to be able to do. So there's a lot of this, I think that the team here did a great job of setting up is all these different things. A lot of it's laying foundational work this year. And I think I used that earlier as the Commission on Equity, but it's truly what it is. There's some efforts for, beefing up our recruitment strategies and partnerships and creating investments to spur exponential value with, say, the development of the Midtown Business Association, those type of things. So it's kind of layered.
I think being strategic about our investments obviously makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to Midtown. We've been promoting it, we're seeing investment come. And so, to me, what is the next public investment that needs to happen to sort of meet that private investment? Is it, especially when 7th Avenue really becomes the main street we're hoping it's gonna become? Is it special lighting? Is it special, where's the public investment that we can make there that will, when people, go down the main, and 7th Avenue, you go like, okay, wow, this is our Midtown, is it banners, is it
those are some of the
sidewalks or special street connections or?
Yes, those are something that's in the work plan for the next 2 years. So this work plan is 26 and 27 only. So the economic development strategy is a 5-year plan. So we just picked the first 2 years and look at 6 different recommendations. And with that 6 recommendations, there are a variety of different implementing steps that we would do, including, like you mentioned, not only the 6th, 7th Avenue roundabout, but also the Hunterman Park improvement as part of that assembly to improve the Midtown. So there's a lot of that work as well. And it's been going on last year, previous years, and we're still working on it again, next 2 years to make that happen. So it's a long investment process, like Troy said. So for the new council member, so there were 12 recommendations from the 5-year strategy with 3 different goals. And of those 12, we selected 6 different recommendations based on the Mentimeter conversation we had in December and based on staff recommendation and also based on resource. As you say, this is the economic development team. And we have other things that we have to do. But based on that, we select 6 different activities. For example, the first activity is communicate Lacey economic identity with target investors and developers. And, this is the 2 bullet points or the work item. But you look at this table that's in your package, it has more detail of what we will be doing and the cost and the timeline when we will start as well. So give a very clear pathway for us as we work through each of these action points. Do you guys have any questions?
I have questions along the way, but I'm gonna wait until we get to.
Okay, well, I mean, again, this is another action that we will focus on. Can you partner with the Port of Olympia and Thurston EDC to ensure the city of Lacey has dedicated access to foreign trade zone, expertise to support local business and raise awareness of FTZ zone benefits. So that's, historically, Rick and the team have been working with the port for a long time on the FTZ, and we're using that tool to support businesses that are coming into our cities or are interested in looking at that potential to help with that terror issues that we've been hearing about. So we're putting together tools that enable setting down a foundation or the infrastructure to help business come to Lacey. You have a question?
So I learned a lot about the FTC, I'll just say that. But one thing I wasn't completely clear about, when you talk about having access to an expert, is that an FTE or is No.
So the Port of Olympia have contracted with Thurston EDC to be the liaison to talk to business about the FTZ. So for example, if a business want to locate to Lacey, we could share what, the demographic and all that stuff about Lacey, but we also can connect them to resource like Thurston EDC to provide another layer of understanding of what
So is this gonna
is
be,
required.
yeah,
It's a person, FTZ, expert person.
Will be
at the
housed at
EDC?
EDC.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So is this gonna come back as a contract with, between the?
Well, actually, so the city of Lacey is a member of the Foreign Trade Zone
I know we are.
216.
Yeah.
And we have a board position on that board as a staff member. And so that foreign trade zone has been fallow with some of the, Port of Olympia transition of staffing. And we are now just getting that resurrected. So we have to reconstitute the board with all the other partners. I've worked with, the executive director at the port as well as Michael Clay at the EDC to say, okay, there's some funds in the budget. Can we contract with the EDC to do the work to reestablish the board so that the foreign trade zone itself is operating? So then we can also go out and do business outreach to both existing and potential business that want to locate here to talk about that benefits of the foreign trade zone. So it's gonna be something that's gonna be resurrected this year. And
But that foreign trade zone is still active, they're still.
It's still, yeah,
There's still members, there's a member, I know for sure, who's a part of it.
Yeah, and it is active, and we do have several activations of the foreign trade zone, Callison's as well.
Yeah, I know.
There's a couple others that we've got signed up. But again, the foreign trade zone, the board itself needs to also be reformed so that it's making those decisions.
Okay.
And doing that work.
Like meeting regularly.
Right,
Meeting
and
regularly.
meets regularly, approves the budget and all that.
Which
It
we
might be a
currently have.
slight side note, but I remember we had, the new executive director for the port come and give us a presentation probably a good year ago. And it seemed like there was a lot of excitement about working together. Has the communication been better since then, or do we have anything?
There has been good communication between the executive director of the port and the city. Although it goes, depending on schedules, it's not as frequent as you'd like. But I think there's general support of moving forward with the foreign trade zone, and yes. And we also have a scheduled meeting, we're scheduling a meeting
Okay.
for a joint meeting between the council and the port, the commissioners of the Port of Olympia this spring.
Okay, this spring.
That's where I was wondering.
That's where I was gonna, go to.
And they plan to meet the commission, the certain commission before that meeting.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation right now that Mike Reed and Michael Cade is organizing to get everybody back together, get the band back together.
So again, the foreign trade zone's been operating, it
It has.
hasn't been enhanced and being promoted.
Got it. Well, that's a huge asset, so, go ahead.
I was gonna say, looking between what you presented on 1C and 1D, how do those two interact? Because if you're using the foreign trade zone policy and you're working on trying to build that area up, how are you using that to bring in and possibly communicate Lacey's economic identity with target investors?
It definitely weave together because you the first one is more of a marketing tool. This one is more of a benefit to the business if they come into Lacey.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
And then I was just gonna ask, as I was looking over the packet that was given, was also as part of the 1C that we talked about just a second ago, the communicating Lacey's economic identity. Was there any way to like roll in 1A that you hadn't mentioned before in there, like the celebrate and promote Lacey's diversity, cultural event, with cultural events, community storytelling as a part of the branding and the marketing that we do for that? Is that something that is like taken into consideration?
1C or 1?
Bringing in 1A, action 1A, as part of like the marketing plan or as an aspect of the marketing plan into 1C.
So I'll attempt to address that.
Sick.
But feel free to jump in down there. So underneath action
Team.
1A, while it's not specifically listed under 1C, so there's like random numbers here, it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, sorry.
But the night market events is one of our ongoing events. And so that is one of those ongoing items that does start to address 1A. The second
Okay.
piece, which is the Faces of Lacey Entrepreneurial Program, we did not advance that in this 2 years, just because we're looking at staffing resources and trying to ensure we have priorities identified. While it's a great idea and we really do wanna do it, we wanna get to it, hopefully we can get to it in the future. So that's why it's not on the list as of right now.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of these different options that were presented and what we have chosen. And I was like, I know that there's like the Venn diagram of all of these. And I was like trying to figure out like what aspects of these different processes or different proposals are being hit while we work on these different
Yeah.
things.
And we'll put together some sort of marketing materials, and it may include some of the diversity that the community brings, right, to that. We haven't refined or created that yet, but that would be the work program item.
Sweet, thank you.
So the only thing when we talk about what's Lacey's identity, obviously have to sort of look at our data, right now of who, who's our employment base and so on and so forth. And one thing that I know we've done work in the past, but I'm surprised I haven't seen it more front and center here, is all of our in Northeast Lacey, all of our what?
Oh, are you talking about the banners?
No. Like our major employers in Northeast Lacey right now is all of our warehouses. I'm like, we only got one, right? And it's a massive like part of Lacey's identity is that we have all these warehouses. We've tried to promote ourselves and we've done a very good job, and we've seen that sector come to Northeast Lacey. Now, how are we supporting that sector, right? Because there's an employment base that needs, there's ongoing education, there's, specific needs. How are we helping them survive, thrive, and be successful, right? Since we said, we want you to be here, we created a whole district for you, that we filled it almost up to the brim. Now, where's our support on the back end to make sure that they're doing well?
Well, I think one element that we talked about is workforce development.
Yeah.
And so that's something we're working with. The Lacey Makerspace is another part of our 15 bullet point item that I worked on. So there's a little bit of workforce development in that space. So what they call pre-manufacturing training program that they have to support that work, and that could roll into warehouse support logistics.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'd like to see is a small group together, where you can pull the managers of that work, them, and say, hey, where are things working well, what's not working well, what do you need support on, and can we be a resource to help? There's maybe there's some logistic issues there. We know, we've heard time and time again that, it's been tough on our residents in that area. How can we find a way to improve that so there's less of an impact, yet support obviously a major economic development success that we've had in our community, right? And so, is it, can they work together to schedule better so we're not having all the semis coming at one time, especially in commuting hour? I mean, there seems to be a coordination effort that needs to take place there that we should be working on.
Do you have,
Well, you look like you wanna say it, so you go ahead.
Team?
So there's a lot there, and there's a lot happening that may not be noticeable to just, that being in the work. So, yes, with all the warehousing and distribution, one of the feedback we received was we have a really strong workforce pool. It's just a small pool. So how do we grow that?
Yep.
And so that's part of the workforce efforts, that development efforts that Wesley mentioned, and that's in two aspects. One, working with the community college to develop programs that can develop warehouse and logistics skills so that people can get entry and elevate up and be a resource too, but also too, supporting those HR managers at those facilities, because they like to promote within, and so being able to provide supporting curriculum and education to them, because they do a lot of on-the-job training and employee development. So there's those aspects are working, plus we're trying to develop and strengthen and expand our manufacturing sector. It's typically a very challenging sector in the US and the state of Washington. I think we've seen some growth over the years in Lacey. So that's where Wesley referred to the makerspace and the community college and developing those advanced manufacturing skills and partners with Ajax and some others that can actually have that direct conversation with those employers and meet what their needs are. So those things are happening. You also have the foreign trade zone we mentioned earlier, make sure that, hey, this is a tool to help with your cash flow to keep you here and keep you surviving. So that's gonna be one of the pitches going forward with foreign trade zone and cash flow. And then ultimately, like you mentioned, what about the, trucks and trips? They don't want to be caught up in traffic here, because time is money for them. So they do a lot of heavy scheduling of truck movement at night, so that they are at the least peak times. And so when peak times occur, they usually hold trucks off at rest area points away, and they come in and time themselves in going into the facilities at nighttime off-peak hours. And so there's a lot of that work that's built into their operational logistics, because they don't want to be stuck in the middle of traffic either, because that's costs them money as well.
Well, like I said, it'd be nice to have a little outreach, to them specifically, say, maybe we're missing something as well, because that seems to me, let's support what we have, and make sure it's.
And that stuff is set up to happen with Wesley and Sarah and Vanessa and the EDC and the Economic Development Practitioners Group is having those conversations and how to match those partners and meet those needs on the ground in that outreach and effort.
I think Deputy Mayor and a bunch of us went to Uline for a conversation. So that's another way in which we are engaging with our community up there. Having said that, one of the warehouse, Nojo, did apply to be in the foreign trade zone recently. So they have become a foreign trade zone recipient as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I just think, there's some more partnerships opportunities there that I think we should ignore. And the other big, talking about, I like that this is a couple year strategy, and we'll have to kind of go back and reassess, but, we're obviously working diligently on our side about a possible, urban growth area expansion, including, Martin Way, which would be bringing the annexation, did I say?
Urban growth area expansion, it's a whole different topic.
UGA expansion is anyway, and so obviously, when annexation, hopefully gets to reality, we're gonna be bringing in a significant amount of commercial property, hopefully to Lacey, and it will almost have to be like immediate shift to make sure, because we'll be on a time period there of making sure that economic development happens in a timely and manner. So that's something that we have to make sure we have some capacity, as we're going through that process.
I do think that Wesley's next slide can kind of speak towards some of the things that you're talking about with the action to be business recruitment and expansion or retention and expansion of the BRE programs. So I think that kind of speaks a little bit to what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is another action recommended that we would tackle in year 2026 and 2027. It's to strengthen and expand the city business retention and expansion program. For those that are not aware, the mayor every month sign a welcome letter that I put together, and it talks, earlier conversation with the Equity Commission, it's about welcoming people. So that is one example of what we do in real practicality, is supporting small business by, when they receive a business license, I put together a letter, and every month the mayor signs that letter, and we send it out to the new business and welcome them to the city of Lacey.
We get a lot of positive feedback. I'm out in the community and there's, oh, got a letter from you. You know, it's like, oh, good to put a face to a name, you know, so.
Yeah, especially like even immigrant businesses, they see that and they frame it and put it in their business. I was like, cool, this is never seen that done before in my home country, but here we get a letter from the government. And so that's, you know, so we're again, this table highlights all of the things that we will be doing in this work action item. And then the fourth item, strengthen regional business recruitment effort. Again, working with the EDC on this effort to support business recruitment, looking at initiative to define and look at the vacancies and where they are and kind of put together packages before we go out to talk to businesses. So for example, earlier this month, we worked with Vic's Pizzeria and talked to them about what they want to do, what does the expansion program look like? And so with our current planner, we put together 6, 7 different locations within our city and send it to them and say, here are some potential locations that make sense for you based on what our conversation looked like. And that's how we would continue to work forward, is looking at those sort of engagement where we are not just having just conversation, but really information that they would want to look at and assess what makes sense for them if they want to move forward. So these are things that we're doing on the ground.
Do we do, just kind of a random question, when we go out to these businesses, I know that we're a pretty diverse community and there are language barriers at a lot of the businesses that we have. Do we have, when we go out to business, translators or people available who speak different languages in case there is a language barrier? Is that something?
Yeah.
See, Veronica already
am I
left.
bumping out?
Yes, we incorporated through the language access program, so we now have an app on our phones that can use as a translation app, either video or text. It's.
Well, every city employee has it too.
I get, but I mean, it's not.
Well, and there's also opportunities
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
have.
saying, I was working towards maybe, you know.
But there's also
program where-
opportunity to schedule interpretive services. If we, have enough notice and make those arrangements, but this, at least in a pinch, if there's a crucial conversation you need to have right away, we have that ability to make that connection.
It's been very helpful, actually.
Yeah.
And I would say it's not the language barrier, it's more of the not understanding government is here to service them. Where they come from, government is corrupt, government is bad, so they're not used to us being nice to them.
Yeah.
So it's not the language barrier, it's more like understanding what we are as an organization to support them.
Which is exactly why I was like, a personal touch is really
Right,
important,
right.
and that's, makes a big
Right.
difference.
And so going out to different businesses and talking to them is one of our business recruitment retention, is having those conversations with them and let them just listen to what they say. I mean, we don't have to do anything for them, they just wanna be heard sometimes.
And Wesley is the one that really does most of that work. He's out there in the community talking to the business owners, and he really does a great job representing the city in that space.
That's great. Well, I think we have a good outline here.
Yeah, and this is, and this goes to what Council Ryan Sue said about earlier about night markets and things. This one kind of speak to that a little bit around moving different cultural event to different sites, including think about maybe doing it at the Midtown as well, to bring in that energy. Hopefully when the Hunterman Park gets improved and updated, we can do some of that work there to support it.
So where are we on trying to find a permanent
Or the food truck?
food truck location?
We're working on getting a feasibility study, RFP draft, which is completed, and we're looking to finalize that, and we have the funding to support, thank you very much, to do that work. So hopefully, once everything's approved, we go out for bid.
Okay.
For the study.
So the
study.
So the feasibility study
That
will
will
occur this year.
It'll be
Hopefully,
this year.
okay, and hopefully it'll tell us, where a possible location would be, what it looks like, what so on and so forth.
And that's one of the items listed in the work plan,
Yes.
and it does have a budget
Yep.
allocated with it, but that's already been budgeted, so
Right.
it would be in our rollover
Perfect.
requests, yep.
Okay,
That's the.
I know it's late, so I will move to our last item here. This is the one I was referring to,
Yes.
there you go.
Feasibility study,
Yeah,
There's that
yeah.
word bold again, I like it.
Yes.
okay.
So that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much. Almost 9 o'clock. So hopefully you can advance our economic development strategy forward to the next regular council meeting so that you can approve that.
Well, I have a question. I think the economic team got a copy of the question that I had today. But I'll just say briefly, I have a question about the age bands. When I think about economic development, I think that it's really important to have segmentation because different groups in the city look at business recruitment, look at spending habits, housing, these things. They're all different. So when I see an age band of 20 to 64, I think the 20-year-olds have different needs, different spending habits. They're in different places in their lives than a 64-year-old. Same thing with the 65 plus. The fastest growing segment in our society is the 85 plus. And an 85-year-old is going to have different needs when we talk about experiential retail or business recruitment or housing than a 65-year-old who's probably still in the workforce or, serving on the city council. So I have a concern about that, that as we look at economic development, we need to disaggregate those data so that we know who's here and what we need to do in terms of targeting and how we do economic development.
So,
Thank you for that email. We did look at the data, in the back section of the strategy, there's some more demographic data, and it does break down, under 10, 10 to 19, 20 to 34,
Yeah, I saw
35 to
that.
54. So they have broken it down, and to give us a demographic. And we do, support variety of age range and economic development that we are currently doing. For example, the Lacey Makerspace is a prime example of that, where we have young people coming out of high school or college age that are using the makerspace for making things or improving their skills. And we have retired folk coming over there to work on their hobby, and hopefully maybe that hobby become a commercializable entity that they can sell online or even rent a booth at the night market and put that product at the night market and try to see if they can hustle and sell that product in the market. So we do try to make all, to accommodate all different age, including, looking at childcare as potential that certain.
Childcare and caregiving and a
Right,
number of
right,
things.
exactly, and so we do.
But to me, it's still concerning to see those age bands of 20 to 64 and 65 plus.
You need to go 85.
I think they need to be disaggregated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because you're right, I mean, what is the economic development strategy for the fastest growing segment of our population, which is 85, right? Where all their services, a lot of their services are gonna have to be coming to them personally or, have some sort of, how do you get to that service, so on and so forth. And so, I've been wondering about this for a long time, as the baby boomers who are such a huge population, as they're moving into this, my dad's age, is like, okay, how's he getting how's he getting the things that he needs to survive? And is there a workforce or are there businesses out there that are in support of that? And then how do we make sure we're putting them in touch with the right people so they can receive the services. I mean, the whole,
Exactly. We have 6 different generations in the workforce right now. They all have different needs, and so I'm concerned about our economic development
One of the
strategy.
fastest growing sector in our city is healthcare. So we have a lot of healthcare providers open up shop and are in our community already. For example, up in Hawkesbury, there's a orthopedic facility that's been built right now that's gonna support folks that need a hip replacement or a knee replacement or whatever. The healthcare is here and it will be here to support that older age community.
So if I could also jump into, and not working on specific strategies, but one of the fundamentals of economic development is creating the playfield, if you will, for things to be successful to meet the market demands. So we can't directly meet the market demands of a aging population or a young population because we don't provide those services. But how do we set the playing field so that businesses can locate or be created to meet those needs and facilitate it? So as an example, Leslie just mentioned with the healthcare industry, how do we make sure that there's ways for them to get established and meet that market, as well as, you know, they're gonna need workforce, so how do we patch the workforce training elements? People need a place to spend their disposable income, so how do we make sure we have placemaking and other elements so those businesses can be located there for restaurants and other type of activities? So with even though this plan in the introductory has those broad age bands, a lot of the work is done, is broken down on, based on some of those smaller subset of the age demographics as well in order to create that playing field. And I don't know if I had anything more to add, Vanessa.
No, the only other thing I'll add is that the time frame that we worked on this plan is the same time frame we worked on our comprehensive plan update, which has an economic development element. And while the data is obviously very important and we really rely on it, we also want to have those narrative conversations to back up the data. And so we had a lot of community engagement and feedback through the comp plan on the economic development policies that inform and align with this plan. In addition, we had Providence on the team that did some work to develop these policies, or not these policies, but these strategies. And so they bring a different lens in terms of what are maybe those healthcare needs long-term for an aging population. While that's one area of economic development, not across the board, I think when you put that all together and you aggregate it all together, while it's not just data, it's kind of data, public involvement, engagement, policy direction, as well as business recruitment and the
Economic identity and branding.
Yeah, pulled together into one strategy.
I hear that, but I'd like to see more segmentation. I'm only one of 7. I won't approve it. I wanna see more.
In the
I wanna
annex,
see more of
and
approach, more of that approach.
the appendix B is insufficient from your perspective.
I did look at appendix B. I did. So maybe I can talk to you all.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and
Councilor Seer had a.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering if part of the strengthen regional business recruitment support would help to kind of segment and get more, I guess, granular in terms of that business recruitment based off of the different segmentation or the different age groups and their purchasing and buying, I guess, trends.
There is data out there
Yeah.
that's, just free resource data that we have access to through Esri and whatnot. We do continually watch data trends. That's one of the things that Leslie does, is he watch economic data trends as well as other data trends, so that we're continually informed on what that data background is in terms of what resources are available to us for free.
I can give a little bit of contextual history on what we've done to, kind of address our more senior population. And I say that because I live right next door to Jubilee. I've kind of watched that area and some of the Midtown stuff and some of South Lacey, I have property down there. And so in North Lacey, there wasn't always Providence, there wasn't always an Indigo. And there was not always an orthopedic center. The residents there are very happy that they don't have to go so far away to get, care. One of the other things they asked for was like, hey, we want a bus, a bus line that goes, because there was no bus on 41st back in 2020. And with help from Carolyn and the intercity transit, now there's a bus that goes right by there, goes all the way around to Willamette, all the way, and they can really they can take public transportation now. One of the other things that they asked for, they were like, we want a grocery store, right? On that side of the freeway, because that's another need that they have. Those are dollars that they spend. So basic things like transportation, healthcare, and food is where, we as a city of 60,000 people have started to address some of those issues. So we're kind of like in the stage right now of kind of getting the basics out of the way. And while they're not gonna get a grocery store, okay, right? I'm telling you, and I can't tell you how many times they asked me for one. I literally was down at the airport down there in Tumwater, that airport section. I saw this really nice fruit stand, right? It's a beautiful building, so on and so. I went in and talked to the owner. I said, would you be interested in duplicating this in North Lacey? There's a parcel out there. It's, you have a built-in audience. And he was like, no. I don't wanna duplicate this. And so now I'm like, okay, maybe I can find somebody else to do it. I haven't stopped looking or asking, but we, as a council and as a city, have been trying to address the needs of the community that you're talking about for years. And before the reserve was there, across from Safeway on Pacific, the subsidized senior center housing, we all went to the opening. It was fantastic. We were so excited that, we were gonna have this there was gonna be an alternative to Panorama, right? And some of the other places. So, it's not fast, and it definitely isn't all that sexy, but it gets done. And some of us are out there like trying to fill in the gaps that we've been asked to fill. And the gaps that you're talking about, the gaps that some of your data shows. And so it's an effort that takes a little more time, but we've been able to fill in some of those gaps. And I think what these guys are saying is, hey, our plan is to fill more gaps. But I like what you brought up was that, there's a really fast growing segment that we could miss if we're not intentional.
Right? I'm looking for something that assures me that we understand that one size doesn't fit all. That's what I'm looking for. And I don't see it.
So can I say something I think would be really helpful, because I agree with what you're saying, at least from what I'm taking from it, is that a lot of times these presentations or information that gets presented to us kind of adapts to our questions over time, or the things that we generally ask. And this is why I always say it's so good to have new people come in, because there might be different things that you're looking for. So, and it might be actually really good information for us too, but it's just not something that we're thinking about, even though the information might already be there, it's just not being presented. So what would be, yeah, so that's what I'm saying, what would be great is if you would meet with them and talk and flesh those ideas out, because it's probably helpful for all of us as well too, because it might already be going on to your satisfaction, and if it's not, maybe we need to get it there, so.
Let's do it.
Okay, do it. Well, with that, it's really late. It's
We
past
hit
the
10
witch
o'clock
hour.
one time, that's where I'll be like, all right, let's get
Okay,
it.
so, so we reached the end of our agenda, so without objection, I'm gonna call this work session
Before you
adjourned and.
do that, do we need to take any formal action to make sure that it's on the consent agenda?
Is everybody okay with the?
Yeah, make sure that you have some of your questions answered and then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we have a meeting set up on,
Oh, yeah.
right, so we can sit down and talk through and make sure.
Should make sure, and then if
You've
everything
seen what you
goes according, go ahead and you can put it on consent
Okay.
agenda in future.
Thank you.
Okay, so the objection, I'll call this meeting adjourned. Keep it classy, Lacey.
No objections.
We got through it. I'm not gonna lie, we got through it. I'm like, I can't clap.